Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco.
Good morning. Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show, brought to you by Bettor Sports Network. I am your temporary host, JL, joined by my good buddy Coop. How you doing, Coop?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah.
I wish I had like 5 more minutes though. Do you ever
5 more minutes? Yeah, of sleep or just prep?
Just to like maneuver around, Like I technically got my breakfast, everything together, but just like another couple minutes. Like I wish there was a way to just bank time, right?
Oh my God! Like, what's that movie? Justin Timberlake is in it. It's called Time something.
Time Hunters.
Time
bankers.
Time bankers. I thought you were
time,
Googling
Simon calls it. I mean, I don't know. Like
in time, yeah. Right,
like
with Justin Timberlake, they bank that money. The whole concept is you have a counter in your arm,
right,
and it counts until you're dead.
Oh, I've even seen that,
work,
dude.
And you get to deposit time into your bank.
Yeah.
And if you don't do work and you're a bad guy, you're a bad.
And they
takes money away.
And they take your time away.
The currency of the future. It's time.
So yeah, kind of like that. We're like, but I'm thinking more like it's like Friday night and like my wife is getting ready to go out, but I'm already ready. So like I could just take that 10 minutes and like
bank it for later.
Bank it. And then like
nice.
One morning I wake up late for work and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, wait a second.
So would you just skip ahead?
No, I just like I just pull it out and I'm like, boom. Then I got that 10 minutes. It's like,
but you can't use that 10 minutes before if you're banking it, right? So you got to skip ahead.
I guess so. I skip right ahead. Yeah. So on that Friday, I'm just like, all right, I'm taking this 10 minutes, banking it. I skip right ahead. My wife's ready. We go out. And then like, a few days later, I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I'm running late. I'm like, wait a second. I got that 10 minutes that I saved. And then boom, I hit it right there. 10 more minutes, dude.
What does she do while you're using your 10 minutes? Because she doesn't have that 10 minutes. She used it to get ready.
She gets ready, dude. So I basically am just like frozen in time. Boom, move forward. She gets ready, so she doesn't get the.
And so she gets frozen later when you use your 10 minutes.
Exactly. And then me, I just like, this morning, for instance, I take an extra like 5 minutes to sit here and
we're all like,
and I just like swirling a spoon in my coffee and like looking at Keith's stupid face frozen in the morning meeting screen, and then I'm just
just him.
Just
he's
a
not
little
frozen.
more.
He's just not moving.
Honestly, that is kind of him in the morning meeting. Just like this dude, and we're like, Keith, why is it so dark in your apartment? He's like, light went out 3 years ago, so
haven't been able to replace it. Well, maybe Better Boss in the chat can help you replace it. Keith, he said, good morning, Matt. Welcome in. We also got Craig in the FYF chat said, happy Tuesday, fellers. Did you know it is a call Tuesday because it feels like it is 2 days long?
That's true, dude. It's we bank time over the weekend. Most of it usually trickles into Tuesday.
Tuesday. Like really Taco Tuesday. People trying to really maximize their time on a Tuesday. It makes sense. And then Craig said that isn't true, but could have been. There you have it. We got Tommy in the chat with our daily poem. He said, if you were a team sitting on the fence, would you take the leap? Would you sign Carson Wentz? Connor is awesome. The dude is just shifty. He just lit the lamp for goal number 50. Carr is at the combine to meet with some teams. This is not about money, or at least it seems. LeBron goes down. Will the Lakers dry up? Will Ramsey leave the Rams? Who will reach for the cup? So many questions that lead to so many more. Will they drop Danny Dimes? Will they show him the door? It's time to discuss all the topics and trends. Good morning, my dudes and my FYF friends.
Dude, he's getting really good at those.
I feel like we're watching in real time as Tommy becomes a poet.
It's pretty damn impressive. Almost as impressive as Connor McDavid scoring 50 goals. I'm not sure. I know you're not a big puck guy, but I'll tell you this. 50...
I was watching a little puck yesterday.
Ooh, who you watching?
Capitals.
The
2 days ago.
Boys,
2 days ago, not yesterday. 2 days ago.
Yeah,
You're about to be like, the Caps didn't play yesterday.
There's a legitimate
You liar.
First of all, how dare you? Second of all, there's a legitimate argument that Ovechkin's the greatest hockey player of all time.
Really?
It's starting to become
I know nothing.
a real argument. And a big part of it is that, I mean, he is on pace to potentially pass Wayne Gretzky for most goals all time. But it was also a lot easier to score back when Gretzky played. Like the rules
They were dumber.
They were dumber, yeah. And he was probably a time traveler of some kind, going back in
Making
time
them
and just
moolah
kind of
time.
just kind of gooning on everybody. And it was like goalie pads were a lot smaller. That's one. The rules were a lot more lenient on what you could do, and it was just generally easier. The other thing for Ovechkin is that like he's a much more well-rounded player. Like Wayne Gretzky he's obviously the great one for a reason, but Ovechkin, like he's out there laying the lumber. Like he's routinely top 5 in hits in the league every year too, on top of being the top goal scorer and taking the most shots. Like Ovi really truly is just an absolute animal. So there's an argument to be made. I think Gretzky's still the guy right now, but when all is said and done, we'll have to stack it up, see who's got what,
This is a dumb question. Is Gretzky retired?
Oh yeah. Right.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
He wasn't retired when we were kids.
I think he retired when we were very young. He retired when we were very young because he's 62 years old now.
Oh wow!
But he did play for a long time. A lot of it's hockey, so you play till you're like,
it's hockey.
I think Jaromir Jagr is still playing hockey right now.
Vince Carter of the NHL.
Yeah, so he retired in 98, 99. So you would have been like, I don't know, like
4 or 5.
Yeah,
4 or 5. Yep.
But I was old enough to remember. But I mean, like the guy was still an animal until
even then.
End. Yeah, even then. Yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Into our Bring Your Own Breakfast segment where we talk about the latest news and happenings around the world.
The happenings that be happening.
The happenings that be happening. We started off with hockey. Coop, I think we got to get into this. Probably the biggest news in the NFL yesterday. Carson Wentz released by the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
He gone. Little Red Riding Bench.
I know. He's got so much money. It's kind of awesome. Like he has over $100 million. How crazy is that?
That's a lot of money.
I mean, I'm not sure if he still has all of it, but like the guaranteed money and all those deals he signed totals $100 million. And then just think about like the money that guys like Frank Gore have made, like the running back.
I was gonna say that's the difference between Lamar, where Lamar is, and where the Ravens are allegedly is $100 million. It's just a nice little Carson Wentz net worth.
Yeah, it is crazy though, the disparity between the positions in this league. Like Carson is a ghost.
He's not here. Ooh.
Sorry, there was very interesting Carson Wentz talk going on. I didn't want to jump in and interrupt.
It wasn't that you jumped in so abruptly. It's that you're wearing a hat that I've never seen you wear.
I've worn this hat on stream before. Not often.
No,
just a couple of times. I can check the tape. I'll find you an example of it.
No, 5
It's a little person, and then on the side it says Apari 4-year. It was a 4-year anniversary hat of the founding of this brand.
I like that hat.
I'm a big fan. And I don't know if you can see it, it's velvet.
Oh, I thought it was just dirty. That's nice.
What a pleasant surprise.
Oh, that's just velvet.
Yeah.
Jill walks into any like lounge type restaurant and it's like, oh god, it's so dirty in here.
It's dirty, and then I touch the fabric. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's just soft.
It's just dirty velvet.
Velveeta.
It is dirty, but it's velvet.
But yes, Carson Wentz released. You were mentioning he has $100 million for some reason.
$105 million.
Right. Meanwhile, like Cordarrelle Patterson's a 10-year veteran, and he's like a top 10 running back in the league, and he's getting paid like he still has to like wash the dishes after the game's over. Like he's getting paid like
poor Daryl.
Like $1.1 million. Yeah, a poor millionaire Cordarrelle Patterson. But it is crazy the disparity between the positions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it is absurd. If you can, I mean, in Carson Wentz's defense, though, he did together a near MVP season, right? Like, so people have seen that upside from him. That being said, we've seen quarterbacks who have never done that get paid just as much money as Carson Wentz, if not more. So your point still stands.
Sam Bradford has a gazillion dollars, and he did literally nothing. He was also drafted before they changed the rookie wage scale, but still, very rich fella. Now with Carson Wentz, boys, got to get to the topic at hand. The most important question: is he a backup? Does he go somewhere where he can compete to be the starter, or is the team going to sign him with thoughts of him being the starter right from the rip?
Or does he follow AJ McCarron to the XFL?
Ride that
try
wave.
to get a starting job there.
I mean, he's already got $100 million. If he wants to play football, that is the situation these days. If you want to play football right now, there's a place. And the awesome thing about that is they set it up exactly how we kind of hoped in the back of our minds, that you play during the offseason and it ends in time for a team to sign you if you ball out. Like that season ends before training camp.
In time. Bringing it back to the Justin Timberlake movie discussed at the beginning of the show.
Let's go.
It's full circle. I think that means the show's over.
Well,
guys, thanks for joining the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. 11 minutes, 3 hours. We don't control the show. The show controls how long it is.
Go back to bed.
See you tomorrow, everyone.
Bank that time. Coming up in 2 hours and 45 minutes is Moose and Keith.
We got NKC in here this morning. What's up, NKC? Welcome in, my
NKC?
friend.
NKC
just frozen on stream for 3 hours.
NKC, what'd you think about that Eagles article I wrote specifically for you because you're my angel? You requested it in the Front Yard Fantasy Discord. I wrote it up. What I think is going to happen with the Eagles this offseason and all their position players. That's on fantasyalarm.com. Check that out. NKC, let me know what you think. If you didn't read
What
it,
up, NKC?
go read it right now.
And Hal said, can Wentz be a backup or is he a third string? What's up, Hal? Welcome in, my friend.
Hal,
John Luke,
shade, bro.
You buying into Hal's shade, or do you think Wentz is capable of being a backup in this league?
Wentz can be a backup in this league. He's a starter in the league. I think it's 50-50 whether he gets a starting job or a backup job. I think he'll be fine in either.
All right, let me hit you with some then, boys. Let's say you're not fantasy football, you're real NFL GM. Put on your NFL assignment immediately, sat up straight. He's like, all right, I'm a GM now, so I got to look presentable. If you were the New York Jets, you're going to start Zach Wilson or Carson Wentz?
Zach Wilson.
Ooh, already some disagreement among the GMs.
I'm just going trade value alone.
I'm trading Zach Wilson and starting Carson Wentz.
Oh, well, I'm playing Zach Wilson so I could trade him and get someone else entirely.
So you guys actually were thinking kind of the same.
Yeah,
the same line.
I was just thinking I'm going to play him so I could boost his value up. But yeah.
Oh, you're not boosting his value by putting him on the football field.
Maybe not, but maybe. Just strategically play him like only against bad teams.
You don't have to. Don't consider my feelings on this one. Would you start Mac Jones or Carson Wentz?
No problem there. I will start Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think I would too. Would you
really want to hurt your feelings though?
Would you start Jarrett Stidham or Carson Wentz? God, it feels like such a
Stidham.
Going from Derek Carr to Carson Wentz feels like such a slightly downward lateral move that you have to consider context, right?
It is somehow simultaneously a massive downgrade while also staying exactly the same.
Exactly. It's just like, why would they go through all that with Derek Carr just to do that with Carson?
I think their skill levels are the same.
It feels like the ceiling stayed the same. The floor just got a lot lower.
Yeah,
switching from Carr to Stidham.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe that explains the trade. Like, I was thinking about it just in terms of trade value. Like Derek Carr is worth probably more. Well, not now because he's a free agent, but
yeah.
Disregard.
How about Davis Mills or Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz.
Give me Carson Wentz.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like Davis Mills. He seems like a more of a fantasy football quarterback than he is a good real life quarterback for some reason. Like he can huck it, chuck it, but he's just not winning games.
Yeah. And the Texans, I know we said Davis Mills or Carson Wentz. The real answer is, or the real question in that case is CJ Stroud / Bryce Young or Carson Wentz, right? Like that's what the Texans are doing. They've got a top 2 pick. There's 2 highly touted quarterbacks. They're going to grab one of those guys at 2 if they don't even trade up to 1 to make sure they get their guy. If there's a guy they're in love with, that's another team I think you can just cross off the list as a potential spot for Carson Wentz with where they're drafting.
Yeah, I mean, there's other teams you can cross off. Like, who's the quarterback for the Colts? Doesn't really matter because they don't like Carson Wentz over there. He already went over there; it didn't work out, so they're not bringing Carson Wentz back. Tampa Bay, Blaine Gabbert and Kyle Trask. I mean, Blaine Gabbert, I think, is an unrestricted free agent. So I think the only guy that's actually on the roster at this moment is Kyle Trask. You going Trasky or are you going Wentz?
Wentz might win a couple games on accident. I think that team should just roll with Kyle Trask or of someone of similar caliber and blow it up.
Tank commander. They really should trade. They really should trade Mike Evans. Like, I know it stinks because he's like a Hall of Fame trajectory player that's played his whole career there. But I mean, what at his age, when do you plan to turn things around where he's going to contribute? Right. I mean, going through these, it seems pretty clear there are some places where Wentz could be the starter right away. I mean, would you rather have Desmond Ridder or Carson Wentz? I think that one's a little closer.
It's tougher for me with the very young quarterbacks we haven't seen a ton out of. The answer is probably Carson Wentz.
See what they got.
But I'm with you, JL. Like, it's just who do I think is going to be better, going to win me more games? It's probably Carson Wentz. But who do I think is better for the Falcons to put out on the field for a season? I think it's Desmond Ridder. What if he is the dude? What if he is taking time to develop? What if this offseason was great for him?
Yeah, that's a good point. In case he asking Willis or Wentz, I'd go Wentz.
Dude, Malik Willis got benched for Joshua Dobbs. We can kind of stop that business. PJ Walker, our boy
PJ Walker.
Yeah.
But I'm biased. I freaking love the Peach.
Yeah, I'll take Carson Wentz.
Matt Corral. I'm telling you,
I'm going to put that in the same category.
This is like the most boring Carson Wentz game ever.
Yeah, it really is.
Entirely, like I'm about to fall asleep talking about Carson Wentz.
Peach. Yeah.
Can we talk about anything else?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about anything else. But I mean, hey,
how about
just point out there's a lot of teams where Carson Wentz would be in the mix at least.
Absolutely. We got a report yesterday from Adam Schefter that the Bears have already been approached by multiple teams about trading the draft's #1 overall pick, and Chicago is said to be leaning toward moving the pick. So the #1 pick now looks like it's for sale. Some teams I've seen.
That's a for sale sign.
What?
That they just put out.
Stick it in the yard. It was already for sale.
It was, but now they're officially saying they're putting it out to teams.
Yeah. I'm sure there's been talk already, but some of the teams that I've seen rumored to be willing to trade up there. One of them is the Colts, the aforementioned Colts. Like Coop said, they don't have a quarterback. Their division rivals picking at #2. They could want to move up ahead of their division rival if there's a guy ahead of the Texans at 2 and grab the quarterback at 1. Now, because there's the threat of that makes the Texans a viable trade target at #2 to trade up to #1 to make sure their division rival doesn't jump in and steal the quarterback that they want. But this all comes down to, do the Texans have one guy that they want? I think, know what I mean? If they're cool with both those quarterbacks, then they probably let the Colts or the Titans or one of these other quarterback needy teams trade up ahead of them and grab the guy. If they have one guy they want, I bet this is the route I think is going to happen. I bet the Texans end up with the #1 overall pick, Bears at #2, and then Bears trade down again with the Colts to 4 to get some more draft capital.
I hope they do all that, and then the Cardinals pick the exact guy that they want. Like, this is where you need your spies, right? You need your intel. You need you guys creeping around, like going through the trash, pulling out like old scraps of paper that just have like names written on there. And you pull it out and it says Bijan Robinson. And you're like, oh, this is the guy. Yeah. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm just writing names on papers and throwing them in the trash, like seeing if I can throw off the Bears. But I think it was Jimmy Johnson that said he had people that used to do that. Coach Jimmy Johnson said that he would have people go through the locker room after the game looking for like scraps when they played the division teams. But I don't know, because the Cardinals really are the wrench in there, right? They already have their quarterback. They're the ones that are the team that could take the best non-quarterback player, right?
What pick are they at 3?
They're at 3, yeah.
They're at 3.
There's always that team every draft that benefits from the like craziness of the chaos of the other teams right in that first round. It's like the first few picks usually are are ones from teams where like traded in or they're trying to get this one. And then there's always that one team that's just kind of out of that whole mix who's just going to scoop up value.
You're right. It's like the
Like
team that's
Lions.
right after where the value is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, or where people want to trade up for. Like, so if there's two good quarterbacks and everyone wants to trade up for those, then the people that would have taken a non-quarterback, they're out of the picture now. And it's only quarterback guys ahead of you. And they overpaid for those. And then you got the pick of the litter. You weren't even going to take a quarterback anyways.
Yeah.
That's
It's like the Lions a couple years ago when the Bengals took Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
They scooped up Penei Sewell.
Right.
It worked out for both teams that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the that's what made last year so weird, is there really wasn't that quarterback that everyone needed to trade up for. So we just got kind of like a pure draft, right? And
That was kind of weird.
yeah, and the way it went down is that like I kind of feel like all those players, knock on wood, that went at the top of the draft are good because everyone was just picking like the best players. Like I don't know, the jury's kind of out on Derek Stingley Jr., but Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, Kayvon Thibodeau, these guys are all good players. Man. Like they're all, I'm feeling good about them. They're making noise already, even as rookies, right?
Yeah, each one of them. I do wonder if that's correlation, not causation, if we're just throwing those two together. Because like if we take the quarterbacks out of previous drafts and just look at those picks, I wonder if there's a similar hit rate to what we're looking at from the top 10 picks this year.
Yeah,
just the guys taken in the first round.
I'm sure there's some pretty good players.
It'll be interesting to see what goes on here. I'm excited for this draft season. It feels like there's not a clear consensus one at quarterback. CJ Stroud and Bryce Young seem to be very close, which always means a lot of smoke screens, especially when that first pick doesn't need a quarterback. So we're going to be seeing all sorts of smoke screen reports from the Texans, the Titans. That's what I'm saying, JL. I'm so excited to start getting these like little like morsels of information that the teams are putting out that they clearly want people to know, to try to create some narrative and then trying to dissect what's actually going to happen.
Listen, this is all a big game, right? Like there's the games themselves where you're actually in regulation game time, whatever. But then there's the game outside the actual games themselves, which is there's strategy to it. And the draft is a big part of that game. So there's mechanics, there's strategy, there's, like you said, smoke screens.
I love seeing all the different war rooms too, where it's like the Ravens war room. It's like JP's computer from Grandma's Boy. Like it's like all these like crazy screens, and they're like all touch screen, and they're moving guys around. And then
they got like an abacus.
Yeah, exactly. They show Belichick, and it's just like him and his dog, and like a rotary phone. You know,
I'll never forget that in real time, where like the broadcasters in the draft had no idea what to do with that. They were just like, it's the dog. I couldn't tell if it was a joke or not.
All right. It was like legit like a fantasy draft where they're like, you're up, dude. And he sits at his computer and he's like,
Bill's sitting there like,
click. He just clicks a name. He's like, yeah, I'll take this best available. Yeah.
D Johnson, please.
Right. So he's looking at it, he's like, this guy played lacrosse at Rutgers. Let's move him up.
Perfect. Round one.
Perfect. Let's see. We have 8 safeties on the roster already. Let's take 3 more from Division 2. Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Bill.
A converted rugby player that went to Mount Holy Union. I'm in.
Yeah. I was going through, because I just did the Eagles frenzy when I was doing the Falcons, I'm looking through and they got a guy named Jared Bernhardt who like didn't play football at all and just played lacrosse.
Barnhart?
Gary Barnhart. No, Jared.
Did he try and re-enter the league as Jerry Bernhardt?
Yeah, it could be. It could be Gary Barnhart. It's just Gary Barnhart with a mustache.
Who the heck is Barnhart?
It's me.
It's me, Gary Barnhart.
Gary Barnhart.
Yeah.
The British Barnhart.
Yeah, he like just played lacrosse, like didn't even play football. And I was just wondering, how did that guy sneak by Bill Belichick?
Wait, like as in he never played football?
I think he might have been in
college,
school,
or just like he didn't play college ball at all and just then went straight to the NFL.
Yeah, he was just nasty he went to Maryland, JL. He was nasty at lacrosse at Maryland. He's their all-time record holder in goals.
My cousin plays lacrosse in Maryland.
Yeah. Oh,
that's wild.
They probably know each other.
Jared Bernhardt. Yeah.
Should I text him right now?
Yeah, hit him up.
Do you know Jerry
We'll actually just wait. We'll just quietly wait for him to respond.
I don't even know if I have his number.
Wow.
If you just
So this might take a while.
If you just yell his name at your phone and alert your phone that it is a family member, they're generally able to figure it out.
Text Weston. Yeah.
Say, he's a family member.
He's a cousin.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know if that works. Maybe you haven't updated your iOS.
Must be.
Mama G is going to be disappointed in you once again in this morning show.
Me?
Yeah, she usually is.
We got Bettor Network in the chat wanting to know, Coop, how's your back?
It's awful, dude. Haven't you seen me awkwardly shifting around for hours at a time on the show? But I'm a gamer, dude. I'm a gamer. The thing is, dude, on Saturday, I would consider it injured. Today, it's hurt, but we play hurt. You know what I mean? If you're injured, you're injured. But if you're hurt, you got to be in the chair. You got to be playing the games. I'm a gamer.
Baby, I have a distinct memory of walking up to my wrestling coach junior year of high school with my finger so swollen that with my hand like this, it is touching either finger. It is black and blue, like not kind of broken, like full ass broken.
Yeah.
And I walk up to tell my coach, like, I can't wrestle in the match tomorrow. And he looks me dead in the eyes and said exactly what you just said, Coop. He said, we wrestle through pain, not injury. And that's just pain. Get your ass back on the mat. And I was like, okay, guess I'm wrestling with a broken finger.
There you go, dude. I mean, you got another one. You got another one, right? Also, rub some dirt on it.
Oh, no, we don't rub dirt on anything.
That's coach logic.
Yeah, no, coaches, there's no dirt in the wrestling room. If you rub dirt on those wrestling mats, you're getting in trouble. There's just sweat and grime and disease and fungus. It's
ringworm
stuff. Ringworm, fungus.
What's the equivalent coach cliche then for wrestling? Rub some fungus on it?
Yeah, rub some ringworm on it.
And get out there.
Fungi on it.
Dude. Gross.
Did you guys see the latest developments in the Daniel Snyder saga?
Yes, I'm so sick of that.
This is absurd. This is absurd. Daniel Snyder is demanding the NFL and owners indemnify him against future legal liability if he sells the Commanders, or he will sue.
Indemnify. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
What did I say?
No, I was going to define it because I had to Google it earlier this morning on the toilet when I was reading about this.
It's what, like make it so that he can't be sued, right?
It's to secure someone. Yeah, secure someone against legal liability for their actions.
Right. And they said, and then so this is coming from a report from the Washington Post. It says it's angered some owners and renewed talks of removing Snyder from the league.
Yeah, I did see that. They're fearful that he won't sell, but the owners are like, it's not out of the question that they all vote to remove him.
Right.
Which is within their rights.
He's just putting them in a decision. Like he's putting them in you can either exonerate me and it'll be easy, or you could not, and it's going to be hard. Basically, I think is the decision he's putting in front of them.
Take his freaking $7 billion and go away. Like, just like, it's billions of dollars. Let people think you're an asshole. Let people hold you accountable for your actions. Say, yeah, I did all that thing. Like, I did all that bad shit, but I have $7 billion and I'm better than you. Know what I mean? Like, he clearly thinks it. He thinks he's better than everyone. He's richer than everyone. He's going to be even richer than everyone. Tell everyone to, like, F off. Say, I'm Dan Snyder. I'm an asshole and I'm rich and you can't do anything about it. I'm taking my $7 billion and I'm going to live a life that you wish you could live. And I'm doing it while being a shit-ass person and there's nothing you can do about it. And just go away. Why do you have to make everyone's life difficult, Dan? You could have such a good rest of your life. Just ignore it. Just freaking ignore it and take your billions of dollars.
His good rest of his life is doing this. This is what he enjoys doing. It's just being a little menace. He did it with the trees. Remember the tree guy that he got fired because they wouldn't let him.
That tree guy had it coming though. Like,
yeah. How dare he?
He's standing up for the environment. Unbelievable. But I get where Dan Snyder's coming from, dude. He's like me at my buddy's bachelor party in Portland, Maine, where it's like, you know what? You want me out of this club? You're going to have to carry me out.
Dude, Portland, Maine has come up so many times in the last 2 months. It's getting absurd.
I'm watching for a couple of them.
Portland, Maine. Have you been up there? Portland, Maine's popping.
I've been up there. I have been up there. It's nice. And then I was watching Theo Vaughn interview Caleb Presley from Barstool over the weekend. They're talking about Portland, Maine. Like, man, this keeps coming up. It's like every couple days.
I've seen him talk about Portland, Maine in a different interview.
Weird.
Theo Vaughn. He just keeps bringing it up.
Very weird. I don't even think he brought it up this time. Maybe he did. I can't remember.
Yeah, the coolest thing in Portland, Maine is the drink exchange. Have you guys been there?
I have not. You've told me about it though.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a stock market for beers and stuff where whatever's been ordered most recently, the price goes up on that. So like I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, let's get 30 Bud Lights for me and the boys. Like the price for Bud Lights goes way up. So now
This is only a good deal if it like starts out lower than what it normally costs.
So it doesn't start out that way. I think everything starts out even. And if like you order Bud Lights and they're like $5, now they go up to $8. But whatever's at the end, like say the last thing that was ordered was shots of Fireball, that now goes down a little bit. So now if you're ordering whatever's at the bottom, you're getting a deal on that.
Because it was
it's just like
Yeah, but then once you order that Fireball, now it goes up. So very cool, and it helps turn over their inventory.
Yeah, that's a pretty clever way of making sure the things that you're not selling start getting
sold.
Drank
up.
Now there was another sort of development here on this Dan Snyder news. This one comes from Dan Steinberg. He said the owners, quote, definitely would move toward a vote to remove Snyder from ownership of his team if he does not sell the franchise. The other person who confirmed Snyder's demands added that the dispute, quote, could get messy.
Well, we've seen it in other sports recently. Donald Sterling, I think, was the most recent one that was voted out and forced to sell the team in the NBA. He was like a slumlord guy who made some pretty disparaging comments, racially charged comments, and he was removed. So it's not crazy. We've seen it recently. I don't know if I've seen it in the NFL, the last owner that was forced to sell the team.
I'm sick of this reality show that we're forced to watch of billionaires being assholes and us just having to like talk about it. Know what I mean? It's not just Dan Snyder, but right now it's Dan Snyder. He's the flavor of the week whenever it comes to like just operating by a different set of rules, a different existence. And we're just sitting here like, oh, I wonder if he's going to sell it, if he's going to get away with trafficking his cheerleaders, if he's going to and it's just like, what the hell? Not only are we talking about if this man's going to go to prison for what he did, we're talking about like, no, that man can't give me $7 billion. I demand $7 billion from a different man or woman. It's just like pouting, and it's a shitty reality TV show that like I can't even click next episode. I just got to sit here and wait.
Right. It is crazy, dude. And it's just like, that's what happens with money, is that like you have the best lawyers in the world. You can only go after these guys if you have more than enough, right? Like to go after, I mean, Dan Snyder, we know about these things and we still can't even get him out of there. It's crazy, man. And I honestly, I want Jeff Bezos to have the team. Like, I think it would be good for the league to have like the stability of a guy like that has all this money in the world and can drive all these people in and doing all these things like the Amazon Prime deal and stuff. But what do I know?
And Hal in the chat, Pat's owner made sure to buy a plane load of masks so we forget how much he likes prostitution. Yeah, that one just kind of got swept under the rug this summer as well. It's a game. We're just responsible for watching it. I like talking about the players a hell of a lot more than I like talking about the billionaire owners, though.
Jerks.
Yeah. Restream in the chat. I think that's Tommy over there saying, let's buy the Commanders.
Let's do it, dude. I got 5 on it. I'll do a 10 on it.
Dude, I can't believe Bezos is just barred from the thing. Just barred from
I've read like conflicting reports. We saw reports that it was Bank of America preventing it. We saw reports that it was the league and the other owners saying that someone who owned a media outlet couldn't be the owner of a team, that there was too much going on there. But then we also saw reports most recently today that it's just Dan Snyder being petty, that he does not want Jeff Bezos to own the team because he owns the Washington Post, and the Washington Post has been hypercritical of him and the Washington franchise. So that was the initial rumor. I feel like it ventured a couple different paths, and now we're back to this, that it's just Snyder being petty.
I think what it is so there were reports a while back that Bezos said he would sell the newspaper, right? If people had a problem with that, he would sell it. And I really think that the whole thing is Dan Snyder, because Dan Snyder was the one saying the only reason I have to sell this thing is because the Washington Post found out all the evil deeds I was doing and was reporting on them, right? So to me, I look at it and I say, okay, this guy doesn't want to sell the team to Bezos because he thinks Bezos kind of forced him out by reporting on him. But all that stuff is true. So, like, to me, I have no problem with Bezos and his approach, and especially if he sells the newspaper, then what's the big deal, right? So, I don't know. I think he should buy it. But I guess there's enough billionaires in the world that they could find some other guy to take the team anyway. I just think Bezos, like, this, if you look at this franchise, it has been a poverty franchise. They routinely have, they do like a poll, and they routinely have one of the worst playing surfaces in the league. The railing fell off and almost fell onto, I think it was like Jalen Hurts or something. Like, fans fell through the railing at the stadium. Like, it's a complete joke. The concessions are, ridiculously highly priced. Like, the whole situation is ridiculous. And it would be nice to get an owner in that it just has so much money that it doesn't matter to him what the concessions are, that can actually come in and just do crazy new owner stuff, build a new stadium, do whatever it takes. So I hope whoever comes in turns this team around, because it really is sad, and the fans deserve better.
Yeah. Right, JL? Yeah.
Let the fans own the team.
Just like the Packers.
Fans.
Better Al in the chat saying, yeah, strong arm, Al. Let's go, baby. Let's
strong arm.
Strong arm, baby.
Let's get Dan Snyder's phone number and everybody call him all hours of day and night and just go, yeah.
Yeah.
And say nothing else. And then he hangs up like, what the hell?
Leave me alone. I have
such
a family.
You go, hello,
Yeah.
is this Dan Snyder? Yes. Yeah.
Knowing Dan Snyder, he'd be up all night just going, no, back.
We hang up before he can say it, and he's just like, no.
Yeah, unbelievable, dude.
Just gets us all fired.
Back to Hogs. Yeah, we're gonna get Dan Snyder fired. We're gonna scream "yeah" in his ear for 4 hours. The fans are going to own the team, and we are going to name it the Washington Hog Daddies.
Now they've been. We'll move them across the water. Name them the Arlington Hogs.
Hell no, I'm out.
Why? What's wrong with Arlington?
Because I ain't supporting no move to Arlington. You ever been to Arlington?
Yeah, I went to the Arlington National Cemetery.
And that made you think, you know what this needs?
This is a football team. Yeah, this cemetery.
Who was at Arlington Cemetery and looking around and being like, man.
We'll call them the Arlington.
It's noticeably lack of hogs here.
The team name will be the Arlington Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers.
Oh, brutal.
Brutally sad. What's really sad is that my wife really didn't enjoy our trip to the Arlington National Cemetery. I mean, in her defense, it was like 110 degrees out, and she is not a big history fan. So her walking around and me being like, "Oh, look, it's the grave."
Were you there in July?
Yeah, I think we were there in the middle of the summer.
I was gonna say, like, that's like, it doesn't get that hot, really.
It was that one day. The one day we decided to go walk around in the sun for like multiple hours, and I'm just like, "Look, it's the grave of Robert McNamara," and she's just like, "I do not care." So, but my experience is good.
Maryland is like you get the extremes of all seasons. It's kind of like right in the middle. I guess it's the 2 season extremes. The other 2 are just transition seasons.
It was the only day it was hot here yesterday, and it's the winter. I'm coming for your seasons, JL. I can't do.
You have one. You don't have winter though. We get a winter. We get snow and like a harsh winter. That's what I'm saying. We gotta get both. Get all of the pieces. We don't get it as extreme as the people who get only one extreme, but we get more extreme than the people who get moderate. Well,
I'm with you. I'm coming up there for that. That's the kind of weather that I love.
See. I got you.
Coop,
did you guys get any?
I had a very similar experience to your Arlington experience, but at Pearl Harbor. My dad and I went, and we were on the boat. My mom and sister decided to stay back at the hotel. I think similar to your wife, they aren't as big of history fans. They didn't want to check it out. So, but my dad and I were like, we got to go see it. Like, we are in Hawaii. We're going to go see Pearl Harbor. So we get on the boat. We're going for the tour. And it is, if you've never been on the tour there at Pearl Harbor, it's an intense experience. Like, it is, the boat that you're on is basically a cemetery. Like, you're going over a cemetery basically, because there's tons of people that perished underwater that were never found. They're doing a really good job of like making it somber and teaching you the importance of what happened there. And my dad and I are sitting there and like almost tearing up. Like, we're getting to the point, like, this is emotionally intense. And I hear this little kid behind me in the thickest British accent go, "Good job, Mom. You've brought us to bloody hell." And then I'm just sitting there, and it just broke the moment entirely. Like they're sitting there telling us, like, and these soldiers lost their lives. It was like, and then this little asshole, this little British asshole behind
Thanks,
me.
Mom.
Good job,
What the
Mom.
hell?
I probably
Damn
added
it,
the
Mom.
bloody. I probably added the bloody in there to the retelling of the stories like over the years, but it's better with the bloody in there. The rest of
It's
it's
much
100%
better.
true.
Good job,
So much
Mom.
better. Thanks,
That
Mom.
is. I mean, like he doesn't care about American history, right?
No,
Like,
not even
especially
a
when you're in
little.
Hawaii. It's supposed to be this like fun island place, you know.
Tommy
Good
with the
job,
Veruca.
Mom.
Daddy, I want it now. It gave off total Veruca Salt vibes.
I want the world. I want the whole world.
We got Dustin in here. What's up, Dustin?
What up, Dustin?
And Dustin
up,
letting us
Jesse?
know, per ESPN, the Eagles have proposed a 4th and 15 play instead of the onside kick. So similar to what they're doing in the XFL right now. I'm about it. I like it not as a full replacement, but as an option. All right. You can still choose to do the onside kick if you want, but you can choose to let them know ahead of time that you're attempting it, take the ball, 4th and 15 from your own 25, go for it.
How many votes do they need? Is it 2/3 of the league?
1 million
A
votes.
million votes. Good thing Dan Snyder gets 900,000.
Yeah,
Get him
thank
right
God.
Good luck. Good luck.
I mean, there's certain teams where I look at that rule and I look at my roster and I'm like, yeah, we're on board with that rule. If I have Justin Jefferson, I'm like, yeah, onside kick every play, every time. DeAndre Hopkins, right? There's certain guys that are just crazy good possession receivers where, I mean, remember the Vikings Bills overtime game? Justin Jefferson, it was like 4th and 23 and easily just ripped that down. So yeah, if I have Justin Jefferson, I'm voting for that rule every time. I'm campaigning for that.
Or Patrick Mahomes. That's
Exactly. Mahomes,
hard. Yes.
Scramble. If I'm the Patriots, I'm just like some ground and pound 3 yards in a cloud of dust team. I'm like, no. No rule, no onside kick rule. You know, what are they gonna do? Throw it to Jacoby Myers? He's not even on the team.
He's not even there anymore. So
Devontae Parker. Yeah.
Okay, but what were they going to do? Recover the onside kick?
Mm,
Know what I mean? I think Mac Jones has a better shot of hitting fill-in X receiver here 15 yards down the field than the Patriots do of executing on an onside kick.
but it's not about the Patriots doing it. It's about other teams doing it to them. Like they need to play a little defense on this one, right?
Yeah,
because
I get what you're saying, and in the short term, I think teams probably will think in the short term whenever they're voting here, but in the long term, I like this change for the league, and I think like if the Patriots know this is how onside kicks are done, you're damn sure Bill Belichick's going to get somebody specifically for this role, right? The 4th and 15 guy.
Yeah.
He's going to have a 4th and 15 playbook drawn up. Like it'll take maybe a year for some of these teams to transition, maybe a couple, but if this rule gets implemented, they'll start changing their personnel to make sure they've got people for this situation.
Run a little hook and ladder, right? The thing that we also have to remember is that the way it's set up in the XFL is run from the 25-yard line. So if you don't execute this, you're essentially just giving the other team 3 points minimum. Like the other team is in field goal range the moment it happens. So it is a pretty dicey move, right?
Indeed. On the 25-yard line, it's giving up a lot of field position.
Yeah, immediate. You're right knocking on the red zone, and you could kick it from right there if you wanted to. So it really is only going to be done in emergency situations for the most part.
Did you guys see the news yesterday out of about the incoming rookie wide receiver Zay Flowers?
He's looking yoked, dude.
See
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, gained 13 pounds of muscle apparently.
Big dog.
He's ready for the combine. Look at that man. God dang.
What a great name too, Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers, 13 pounds of muscle. That was like the hot news on Twitter yesterday. I saw his picture probably 1,000 times.
Yeah, and we're right on schedule. Boston College every couple years has one player that makes it in the league, so it's time. We haven't had anybody since AJ Dillon.
You know who else? You know what else we're on schedule for? JSN has been the consensus number 1 wide receiver for a little bit too long in this rookie class. And the dynasty community starts getting a little antsy when the same player's been sitting up there. You're telling me that one of the other top prospects just dropped a photo of them gaining 13 pounds right before draft season starts picking up, I'm not going to be shocked if we don't start seeing Zay Flowers atop some of these rookie wide receiver lists.
Move them up.
This is the wear board hype train. Not that he's not good, but this part of the season, we always get a couple wear board, and they just take whoever's at the top and they pick someone else to put above them, whether they believe it or not. I'm sure some people actually have Zay Flowers as their one, but I think we get antsy in the offseason whenever there's too much like staticness in those rankings, especially with these rookies.
Oh yeah, dude. Especially with just the weigh-ins, people are like, "Oh, he was supposed to be 200 pounds and he's 199 in the fourth. Wipe him off the board." My favorite response to that tweet was our friend Linda, friend of the show, Lindellian, said, "Sure, when Zay Flowers gains 13 pounds, he's ready for the combine. But when I do, I should stop drinking so much and maybe go for a walk."
It's double standard. It's messed up.
It is double standard. Yeah, I'm just getting ready for the combine.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, this is why it feels like, but like the season hasn't been over that long. How the heck did he put on 13 pounds of muscle in like a month?
Yoked up, dude. When you're Boston College, you don't got all these fancy bowl games to worry about. So,
also, I do want to say, it is physically impossible to put on 13 pounds of muscle in that amount of time. He put on 13 pounds. A lot of it's muscle, but it's not 13 pounds. Like the amount of protein you would have to shove into your body during that time period would kill you. Yeah, you'd be dead.
The BC Eagles went 3-9 this year, so he had plenty of time to just worry about the draft.
He was just working out all year.
I think a big part of this, though, I'd say, maybe half of the hype is based on the muscle he put on, but the other half has got to be this smile. Can we get that picture back?
Oh my God, yeah.
Right, he goes from get that picture back up there. He goes. I think he did this on purpose. Weeks ago he took the first picture and he's sitting there looking like
serious,
looking like Daniel Jones. Yeah, and then the next one he's like, "Yeah, check me out." Oh, the head cut off.
The head cut off on the picture.
God damn it, Keith. Well, I guess you just gotta go on Twitter and search for Zay Flowers. It'll come up. But yeah, he looks like he spent 2 weeks in Wakanda, dude. The guy is looking cut.
Justin said it's about time we got into shoving protein into your body part of the show.
It's that time.
Yeah, usually we wait till about the 2-hour mark to talk about shoving massive amounts of protein into your body, but we're getting there early today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go now. 13 pounds by the end of the show. All right, start.
And Al also saying he may not have been weighed since the beginning of the season, so that would make sense too. If he hasn't stepped on a scale since before the season started, then that 13 pounds makes a lot more sense.
Al, not to mention, dude, they write in the program whatever you want. It's like going to the DMV and they're like, "How tall are you?" Right? Like I've seen it time and time again. These guys show up and they're 2 inches shorter at the actual combine and pro days and stuff than they were on their on the program. It's wild. Like we're already seeing it with one of the quarterbacks that he's listed at 6 feet, but now they're saying he's 5'10". I think it might be. It's not CJ Stroud. It's one of the other. It's
Bryce Young, Will Levis.
I think it's Bryce Young, but he's like supposed to be 6 feet, but he's 2 inches shorter. It's like I don't know how that benefits you. Is it more intimidating during college to have to seem taller on the program? Because it definitely hurts you come draft season, right?
I think it's all just they know the height required to make it in that position professionally, right? And you can't all of a sudden just switch your story senior year to say you're 6 foot. So the teams, they advertise what's in the best interest of their players because it also, let's just say hypothetically, you're the quarterback for Clemson University. You're 5'10", but you're very good. Whenever you're recruiting that next quarterback, it really helps if the coach can say, "Hey, and look, we sent this quarterback to the NFL," right? So it's not just like it just benefits the players to maybe beef up those numbers a little bit. It's in the best interest of the program to send as many players to the NFL as possible. So from the day they step foot on campus, they are marketing those guys to the best of their ability to the league. Like they are not going to put something on there that's unflattering on the website. Like if they're 5'9", let's say 5'10", 5'11", right? If they're 180, let's say 187. Let's add a little bit of beef on there.
Yeah, we already had a couple of these happen because they weigh you in at the Senior Bowl. I remember Rashee Rice, he's a wide receiver prospect. Some people have him in the top 10 for wide receivers. Another one, 6'2" in the program. It still says 6'2" all over the internet. At the actual Senior Bowl, 6 feet flat. So I'm excited. I'm excited for all the tweets that come out over the next couple of days. Weigh-ins are maybe today, are they? I know people show up for the combine today. Today's the first day that people are showing up. I don't know if they do the weigh-ins though.
Oh God, just the word weigh-in brings back like
I bet
PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's pull up the combine
Probably not
stage.
great. Did you guys see the AJ Brown's tweet yesterday?
No.
So you guys are all familiar with Denny Carter of NBC Sports Edge.
I'm aware
correct?
of Mr. CD Denny Carter.
A friend of the show, and he tweeted out a couple years ago this tweet that gets circulated every couple months, where he said, "Typical QB tweet is love my teammates, God is good." Running back tweet is keep grinding. Tight end tweet, dirt. Wide receiver tweet, the enemy speaks kindly and holds a knife. Well, yesterday, AJ Brown tweeted out exactly word for word, quote, "The enemy speaks kindly and holds a knife."
So good, dude.
And AJ Brown got inundated with people, just absolutely flooded in the replies of people posting Denny Carter's tweet. Denny Carter, very, very prominent in the fantasy football world industry. And so AJ Brown got fantasy football.
The best part of all that is that people were checking in with Denny Carter, and apparently AJ Brown sends cryptic tweets all the time. And anytime he does, people tag Denny Carter to the point that AJ Brown actually blocked Denny Carter over a year ago. So AJ Brown already had Denny Carter blocked because he keeps getting tagged in the cryptic tweets. The only question left is, did AJ Brown send that tweet specifically because he saw Denny Carter's tweet in the past? Or
quotes makes me wonder.
Yeah.
But then again, this is a quote, right?
It is, dude. It is a hilarious tweet.
Jason Brown even tweeted, "Who the hell is Denny Carter?"
I saw that, but I looked on his Twitter and I couldn't find that tweet. So either he deleted it or he never tweeted that.
You know, I'm choosing to believe, because it's more fun and it doesn't really affect anybody else in a negative way, that he did not know that Denny Carter put that out there and that it was a total coincidence, and the prophecy set forth by Denny has been completed. I don't know what that prophecy means, what's coming next, but we're in store for something great. I think a historical fantasy wide receiver season is what's coming. AJ Brown is the chosen one.
Yeah,
man.
I'm with you.
I just said AJ Brown is the chosen one. The prophecy is being fulfilled, and Jail said,
I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's good analysis.
I'm tracking. I'm following you.
Robbie Anderson, Chosen
Chosen?
Anderson is sitting there. He's like, damn it. It's like, I changed my name to Chosen. Can't even be the chosen one. I just looked it up. So we won't get measurements of the combine until at least Thursday. That's when they start doing offensive and defensive line, and we won't get ones talking about on Twitter until at least Saturday is when they start doing position players. So you're gonna have to hold off on your arguments for a few more days, everybody. Sorry.
Gonna have to.
You guys want to get into the oh, sorry. The audio just started replaying in my ears for some reason. I started hearing Coop saying, "You're gonna have to hold off on your arguments for a few more days there. You're gonna have to hold off on your arguments for a few more days there. You're gonna have to hold off on your arguments."
Did you open YouTube? Because I've done that before with the YouTube.
I didn't. I already have you. I've had YouTube open the whole time. Now it's on mute over there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what caused that. A little glitch in the matrix. I bet I know what it was, Coop. It was you saving up your damn time, and you just cashed in a couple minutes of it, and I got stuck in that 10-second loop over and over and over again.
Yeah. If you've been on YouTube this whole time, how come this video only has 5 likes?
Because I only have 5 YouTube accounts.
Gotta limit it.
Gotta get those up, dude. Again, if we don't get enough comments, we don't get enough likes, the porn bots aren't going to show up, and then we won't know if we have a successful show or not.
Yeah, that is our measurement. Dustin in the chat said, "You guys need someone to call in from the combine on Friday." Wink, wink. I didn't think that we needed somebody, but if you're not available, then yeah, I guess we will need somebody. We can ask around probably.
Yeah, thanks for alerting us that you're unavailable. We'll try to find someone else. Speaking
of Dustin, before we get to Weddle, there was one last newsworthy piece I saw out there. If you guys have the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Bills yesterday released a new rendering of their stadium, their new stadium. So renderings of their new stadium. I think Keith's got it. You can pull it up.
Is it a dome?
I think half a dome. I don't know. I don't know if there's a retractable roof or not.
Half a dome. That would be a bowl.
So it's just a stadium.
Yeah, it's just a normal stadium.
It looks.
It's only the
looks
top
pretty-
half, not the
What's
bottom.
up with this shape with stadiums now? People are like, is this like the hot shape
Wavy.
in stadium design?
Like a bowl with uneven top.
Yeah.
They got-
Seems much harder to make.
It definitely, I imagine it's got to do with the wind, right?
With the
Yeah.
waviness?
The waviness, yeah. I imagine they've figured out things along with the winds that
If Chicago can have a oh, you mean not knocking it over? You mean like
just
on
like the way it deflects the wind from just like crushing fans. Or honestly, if they do, certain stadiums are built in a way that it helps the home team. No joke. If you've looked at the Dolphin Stadium at 1:00, the sun fries the visiting sideline, and the home team is in the shade. It's like a magnifying glass. There's a famous picture of them playing the Bills where you can see that the sun is just crushing the other team. So maybe it's set up to be a wind tunnel.
My guess is that any of the wildly visible things are aesthetic over function. That this team has enough money and the stadium costs enough money. If they wanted it to be straight edged and have the wind work well in the stadium, they would have engineered some way to do that. I just think that edge at the top is just an aesthetic choice. And it looks smooth and wavy and looks nice. It kind of reminds me of what was that stadium in China during the Olympics that have that same wavy feel to it? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
One of the many that are now abandoned.
Yes. Like
Yeah,
the Bird's Nest Stadium or something like that. I forget. Also, Dustin said no retractable roof, but fans are covered. So that's pretty cool. Still cold as hell, though. But I guess the Bills probably wanted to keep it cold as hell.
Maybe that's an advantage.
Apparently the Giants used to have this they used to have these big doors that would let in big vehicles and stuff, like giant bay doors. And Bill Parcells used to have them opened when the other team was facing the doors, and the wind would just come ripping through. And then at halftime, when the team switched, he would have them shut the doors.
That's messed up.
Yeah, that's
Seems also illegal.
A little classic home field advantage. Yeah, long suspected that they did that, of course. Not necessarily proven, but why not, dude?
It does look like, I'm looking down at this rendering now. I read it in the article and I didn't notice it at first, but the one that's from in the stadium looking down towards the end zone, if you look to the right, there's like a bar down there. Do you see that with TVs, people sitting on bar stools, like on the field next to the end zone? There's a bar, unless I'm looking at that wrong. But that, I don't see how that could be anything besides just a bar down there.
I mean, if
On both sides.
if Terry Pagula knows his audience, there's going to be bars everywhere. Oh yeah, it does look like that. That looks like a cool little area down there. Also looks like there's a second level down there for some reason. I don't know. Each team has their little quirks, right? Like the Jaguars have the pool.
I love the pool.
Yeah.
The Buccaneers have the pirate ship.
Patriots have $20 beers.
Wow.
Oh, it's so sad.
That's would you like a pool or a $20 beer? Or both? Because I bet you can get both.
Choice is yours.
You can get both. Yeah.
Also, Dustin said that's the new thing at stadiums. Booty's Bellows at the Rams Stadium in the hot spot that is field level. I guess I've never been to a stadium that's had that. I haven't seen that in a stadium. Not that I've been aware of, at least. I also probably don't have the money to even be aware of that existing. You know what I mean? Unless I just saw it, I can't afford those tickets. I'm not scrolling that far on SeatGeek or whatever to get to the ones that are in that bar. I'm stopping well below we even get out of upper deck.
Damn.
Yeah, we're kind of burying the lead here. The coolest thing are the giant buffalo statues that are outside. I hope that's part of the plan. Did you guys see those things?
No.
They've got these gigantic buffalo statues in one of the renderings that I'm looking at, and I need it.
You need a giant buffalo statue?
Not at my house. I need them to be there at the stadium. They look like, based on the picture, that they're at least 5 times as tall as the fans they've rendered in. So these things, yeah, the fans look like ants next to these gigantic things. So I need them to put those in.
I'm not seeing these statues anywhere, Coop, but I'm going to take your word for it.
I'll send it to you. God damn. Let's do the Weddle.
Let's get into that, Weddle. You guys ready?
Yeah.
everyone who has not done this with us before, we're about to get into the daily Weddle. You can go to weddlegame.com to play along with us. It's like the popular games Wordle, Quirtle, or those other word games, but instead of guessing words, we're guessing NFL players. We'll get a little bit of information each time, guiding us towards the correct one. I believe it is my turn to select the guy here, if I'm not mistaken, or am I mistaken?
I think it's you.
I think you're up.
Okay, and for my first guy, we are going to select
Give us
not Juju Smith-Schuster. Let's go
give us a blocking tight end.
If it was your turn, maybe you could do that. But
Come
maybe
on.
I don't want to.
The people want
Maybe
it.
I don't want to. We're gonna go with T. Higgins. We're going back to my roots.
T. Higgins.
It's
Higgins
not
is in
T.
your
Higgins.
roots?
I was guessing T. Higgins a lot at the beginning when it was my turn, when we started doing this. Just kept on guessing him over and over again.
So we know they're in the ASC. They're not on the Bengals, not a wide receiver, under 6'4", and it's not close. So they're 6'1" or lower.
And they're young.
Age 24. It's lower than age 24, but within 2. So 23 or 22.
Okay.
And then the number is lower than 85.
How about we guess a young running back here then?
It really
Reese.
could be almost the only position that, like the position that's least likely
Not
now is
too
tight
young.
end, because there's the fewest of them and they're the most likely to be 6'2" or taller.
Quarterback
Quarterback is also unlikely, but there are short quarterbacks, and then running back.
We don't know if they're
definitely
taller. It could be, it's just upper bounded now. So it could be really any of them.
Well, but they have to be 6'1" or shorter, which there are very few tight ends that are even that height.
I thought
And
you were
then
saying
think-
it probably was a tight end. Okay.
No, I was
no.
saying tight end is the least likely, quarterback
I
is
see.
the second least likely, running back is
Mhm.
most likely. So I'm with you, Coop.
I'm with you. I'm
An
with you.
AFC
Let's-
running back, a young AFC running back.
How about James Cook?
I think he fits all the.
Is he younger? Is he 22 or 23?
Yeah,
He's rookie
he's
last year.
fresh in the league.
I know, but like Brees Hall is 21.
So he might
That's
not
very
be.
good.
Yeah, you're right. He might not be old enough.
Might be too young, but
Too young.
I'm
I
worth.
think he is 22.
I'm fine trying it. I'm not
Oh.
like firm on that.
For James Cook in there. 23, correct age. Running back, correct height. We said 5'11", but he's even shorter than 5'11", 5'9" or 5'10". Number is higher than 28 and not in the AFC East.
And Trenton
about one
said
of the-
Kadarius Toney, but we know it's not a wide receiver because T. Higgins told us.
Right.
So
What about one of the Chiefs running backs?
Jay
Isaiah
says
Pacheco.
Najee. Can't be
Too old.
Najee because he's AFC North.
and too old.
Yeah. And too old. Isaiah Pacheco. He's short?
Wasn't it Pacheco like a couple weeks ago?
Could be Pacheco.
We had some Chiefs.
What's his number? No, he's 10. He's number 10.
10? Okay. What about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? What's his number? He's not too tall.
I don't remember his number.
He might be too old.
Maybe too old.
I don't think he's 5'9" either.
How
5'10".
about
Oh, there goes Simon.
Bye, Simon? Well, we also have the AFC South is in play, so
We know it's AFC South or AFC West.
can't be Travis Etienne though because he's number 1.
He's number 1. And then we got, let's see, Jonathan Taylor's too old.
What about Schmitty-Jorger Jagerman Jensen?
Ooh, yeah, get
That
many.
guy is
Orger
too
Jagerman Jensen.
handsome.
He
to
was
be in
also
this.
number 1, so he can't be on the list.
Right, dude, with the foam finger.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. What about the Raiders backup running back,
Zamir White.
Zamir White?
Get him in there.
That feels like a good guess, guys.
Zamir White. Oh, and we have the same exact information, except we eliminated another conference, and we know
And
the exact
jersey
height
number.
now. They are 5'10", because 6
Yeah.
foot and 5'11" are both within
Right.
2. So this is a 5'10" running back in the AFC South who is 23 years old, and the number is between 28 and 35, really 31 and 32. It has to be 31 or 32, their number.
Yeah, Jay says
Because-
Jermichael Hasty's too short. Jermichael Hasty's very short.
Damian Pierce.
Damian Pierce.
Ooh,
I think that's a good guess,
get him
John
in
Luke.
there.
It's Damian Pierce, baby.
Hey!
Congratulations!
Wow!
You've won!
You
Nothing.
did it! Congratulations!
Good
Very
work,
cool.
guys.
Very
Music
cool
is
guy.
So friendly.
I know.
Yeah.
I hear that, and
Nice.
it's just like, makes me want to do like this all day.
I even like
exactly what I do.
I even like it when I lose games and starts playing. I just for all my cares go away. I'm like, oh, you know what? Somebody won.
We all just
We're-
start dancing.
We're all having fun here.
I like that we all dance no matter what is happening without question.
You guys are going to be
Naturally.
at my funeral, and all of a sudden that's going to start playing from Jail's phone, and you see Coop just stand up and like crying, just start going like,
And then everyone follows suit.
and then
I-
my body rises up out of the coffin and starts rigidly
Just
going
like-
like
Special request that that song is played at my funeral, please. Thank you.
We got you.
right after this is going to be the best day of my life. I demand on that being played at my funeral while I'm being carried down.
Tim and I are both pallbearers in one suit.
I have had one very specific request for my funeral that I've made to JL and Tim. If I go before them, they are to give my eulogy together, but they have to wear one suit at the same time. And there has to be a minimum of 6 steps up to the podium where they give said eulogy, and nobody's allowed to help them. I want in the middle of the funeral, Tim and JL stuffed into one suit together, however they choose to do so. They can go back to back. They can do Tim in the front, head poking out in the middle. Dealer's choice. But then you two have to navigate your way up 6 stairs on your own with no help, and then give my eulogy in front of the entire
And
everybody.
I think Tim and I co-opted this plan, so that now I think the plan is whoever dies first gets this honor.
Oh, okay. It's just like a 3-way deal. The other two will
Three-way
ruin your
deal. Whoever
funeral.
goes first gets the other two. Yeah, because you can't do it once 2 people are gone. You know, it's
Exactly,
over.
Yeah. You can only,
So-
you can only
You
have
could,
one.
First
it would
one.
be a lot creepier.
That's why we've been doing it. That's
That
why
is- Tim's been dead for 13 years.
you got him in your suit with you.
Is this for you, Simon?
crack. Every time I
Oh.
take a step.
Sorry, Tim.
Disgusting. Justin says, what if JL wears the pants and Tim goes Winnie the Pooh and just wears the shirt and jacket? No, they both have to be in all parts of the suit.
Yeah.
It's the requirements. No
This is
getting
like
around.
a
If you're gonna try to loophole me while I'm dead, then were you really my friend? Maybe, honestly, with the people I
Probably,
surround
yeah.
myself with. Guys, coming up, we got some games coming your way. We're gonna play some vague descriptions. We've got Quotey McQuote Face after that, and then we're gonna follow it up with some Moreau, teach you about some things that we have learned over the past couple of weeks. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, Ladanian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
Well, LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he
never
not?
on the cover.
I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah, okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover. And then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
No way you know.
and Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14,
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question.
Uh-huh.
I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders, unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
Oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay. Keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16, hold
Oh.
on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17, now this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. Yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
we now know. But that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Bettor Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. It's in the game.
Auto beans.
Ow! I had you, Coop.
Thank you, man. I was taking a sip of my orange juice. Nobody asked me what I had for
rumbled
breakfast.
his milk cartons. His milk glasses, milk bottles.
No milk today.
Cartons wouldn't make that sound.
We're
ding, 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 ding,
leaving
ding,
for
ding.
Florida in a couple days, so finishing what we have in the house for groceries. So
Yeah. Did you guys you said milk kind of reminded me. Did you guys read the series of books called like The Face on the Milk Carton? And it was about the little girl who was in elementary school and she saw like a missing child picture on a milk carton and then realized it was her as a little kid and then has to like figure out who her real parents are and why she's been kidnapped but living a normal life.
Whoa, spoilers.
I didn't spoil what that's like on the back of the book, man. If you read the synopsis, that's what it's gonna tell you. Or not the synopsis, the little teaser to get you interested in it.
I feel like I 100% have read this. I've seen this book. I recognize the author's name, but I don't remember the book at all.
It's like a classic like elementary school library book, but it scared the shit out of me as a kid. You know what I mean? Because like I'd never even considered. I was always scared of being kidnapped, but I had never considered that I'd already been kidnapped, and that was the life I was living. So now I'm sitting there like my biggest fear
Jan?
could have already happened. Yeah,
Dad?
If that is your real name.
That is so tough, dude, because like, I don't know, man. Like if I found out I got kidnapped, but like I got a pool and an Auntie Koopy, I think I'd probably just
stay.
about it.
Would you check? I'd definitely check out my previous life just to see if I was like, I don't know, rich person's kids or like a celebrity's kids. Then maybe I'd go back.
See if they had a bigger pool.
Yeah, what's their pool situation?
Kanye West is your father, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna head on back over here, but
back to Wisconsin.
Now that I know you're my real father, maybe a little bit of money this way. Tommy in the chat said, "Tell your answer time to come clean."
And then my mom came in with the secrets out.
Oh God, they were in on it together. We've all been kidnapped. All right, guys. Well, we're about to get into a game we call Vague Descriptions. This game is one where we're going to be given a category, maybe movies, maybe football, maybe TV shows, maybe celebrity, and then a very vague description of something in that category. The contestants will be responsible for saying what that thing is, for identifying it. They'll get a point if they get it right. They get nothing if they get it wrong, and their opponent can steal. The person with the most points is going to be our champion.
Yeehaw.
Let's do it.
All right, boys. You two are competing today. Once again.
Yeehaw. Just wanted to repeat it for you for a second.
Thank you. I was adding your scores here. Let's see who's gonna go first. Boop, 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 boop. Coop's going first.
All right.
Man, it does love Coop. You're right.
Randomizer has been going my way lately, but something tells me if we keep mentioning that, it's going to start going the other way more often.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse gets the cheese.
That's not how randomizers work, though. So if we want it to be true, then maybe we do just keep having it land on me.
In order to prove that it's truly random, it must keep landing on you.
It has to land on me more often just to prove how random it is.
All right. This first one, Coop, this one's for you, buddy.
Cool.
Your vague is football. Your vague description is chickening out before the big shebang.
And I'm going to close the chat. So play along. Put your answers in the chat, guys.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat, throw your answers. Play along with us. We love it.
The word shebang. chickening out before the big shebang. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
chickening out before the big shebang is the description. Your category is football. You got to tell me what it is.
Okay, so chickening out before the big shebang. I'm trying to think of what the big shebang would be. Just the game in general. The Super Bowl might be the big shebang, but it's kind of hard to. You can't like chicken out of the Super Bowl, I guess. Maybe well, if a big shebang, maybe the big shebang's a hit, and this is a quarterback or any player sliding. Give me sliding.
You're gonna go with sliding, and that is correct.
Yes.
1 point for you, Goop.
I was thinking not throwing at the combine, but as soon as you said sliding, I was like, that's the answer. That's the much better answer.
For the longest time, I was in the camp of like, you have to compete at the combine. If you don't compete at the combine, I'm immediately knocking points off you until Kyron Williams last year. And then when Kyron Williams came out and he measured under 200 pounds and ran like a 4.64, I thought to myself, that's a guy who should not have competed at the combine. If he was he was hyped as like a top 3, possibly even 2 running back. Then he came out and like you can be undersized or you can be slow, but you can't be both. And Kyron Williams came out and just had just about the worst combine you could have. And instead of being a top 3 running back, he slipped all the way to the 5th round. So his agent should have definitely been like, hey, you know what, buddy? Like maybe you roll an ankle this week in the hotel.
Don't go running out there. I'm with you.
Don't go out there.
Don't go running out.
Let's get that money. We'll figure out the rest later.
It should be the combine should be a tool to improve your draft stock if it's necessary. Know what I mean? Like to showcase something that you haven't already showed off in your college tape. If you think there's something extra that people aren't going to see from what you've already put out there from your 2 to 4 years of college production, then head on over to the combine. But if not, man, I don't see the point besides boosting up your ego or boosting your stock a little bit. Like if you're the dude, if you're the top running back, if you're top 3 running back, just let it sit, man. You got a lot more to lose than you do to gain by going from 3 to 1, because you could go from 3 to 7 and get drafted on day 3 and make no money.
Or you could do what Jay Cutler did, which is like the ultimate alpha move. Do you remember what he did in the combine?
But I believe it.
Jay Cutler like goes to the combine. He's like, I'm here to compete. He does all the events that quarterbacks do. Then he says, I'm doing the bench press, which is quarterbacks don't do the bench press at the combine. Cutler's like, I'm doing it anyway. Gets up there, does 23 reps at 225, which for anybody that doesn't really look at that stuff, that's like tight end territory, like just monster. He's like, I'm doing. So you look at all like the history of the combine. There's like no bench press numbers for quarterbacks except Jay Cutler decided to do it for no reason. He's just like, I'm yoked. I'm doing it. That's such a bro move, bro.
He says, I've been benching for 15 years. I'm not doing this today.
You're not gonna bench.
He's like, how many 40-yard sprints I've run in my life? 7. You know how many times I've benched? 1 million.
A million.
1 million, guys.
Voluntary participant in the bench press, dude. That's such a bro move. There's no broer move than that. So shout out Jay Cutler. One of my favorite combine moves.
And then he was ripping cigs while he did it too. He had a cigarette in his mouth like this.
Just crushing bench press.
So
John Elway just making notes, dude. He's like, yeah.
Sucking in from one side, breathing out of the other on the way down. Like,
kid out of Vanderbilt, dude. I'm doing the bench press. Load it up. That's awesome, man.
Was this a combine themed hypothetically, or are we playing a different game? I forgot where we were.
Playing an entirely different game.
I don't know what game we're playing anymore. All right, let's get back to the vague descriptions. One of my favorite games.
That's what we're on.
All right, let's get into our next vague description here. Let's see. Let's go with that one. All right, Simon. This next one is yours. Your category is football. Your vague description is a measure of how likely you are to touch space.
A measure of how likely you are to touch space is what you said.
Yes.
Okay. A measure. An inch, a foot, a yard, To touch space. Space could be open space. This could be space. That could be like in football, we often refer to space as like being open. You've got space. But space could also be like outer space. But what the hell would outer space have to do with football? I can't think of any outer space related words. Likely. A measure of how likely you are to touch space. I have no freaking clue. Football, space. I'm going to go with this would be the Jets.
The Jets is incorrect. Coop, you can steal this point if you would like. You have to tell me correctly what this is, a measure of how likely you are to touch space.
So I thought of this one immediately, and I've been trying to think of maybe other potential answers, but I can't. So I'm just going to go with the first thing I thought of because I was thinking about the combine. Is this your vertical?
This is I'll give that to you, Coop. This is a vertical jump. Vertical jump. Yeah, and Dustin in the chat got this. Vertical jump.
A vert.
That makes sense. So it was outer space, and it's just most of these people very unlikely to touch it.
Yeah, that is extremely unlikely.
I would venture to say everyone.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers looks like he could jump up and touch space now.
The vertical jump measurements of the combine are just yes, no answers. Did they touch space? And every single one is just no. They're still waiting for that yes one day.
Yeah. Ernie Adams will finally retire when they get one yes.
Get on out of there.
All right. Well done. Coop, you stole that point. So now is 2-0. This next one is yours, my friend.
Do it.
Your category is movie. Your vague description is a tax advisor leaves his job unexpectedly and goes to Mexico.
Tax advisor leaves his job unexpectedly, goes to Mexico.
I've seen The Trick, and I don't know the movie. Like, I feel like I can tell you the plot based on the vague description, but I think I just haven't seen it. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this one. He goes to Mexico. Sounds like he voluntarily goes. So but it doesn't necessarily mean volunteer. Maybe he's kidnapped and he goes to Mexico. Tax advisor leaves his job and goes to Mexico. I'm gonna go with a movie I've never seen. Is this Nacho Libre?
This is not Nacho Libre. Simon, you have the opportunity to steal this.
Nacho Libre was a tax advisor who went to the convent.
I don't know. I don't know what his backstory is.
How embarrassing not knowing the plot intimately of Nacho Libre. So, Coop, I think you hit on something there. I think this is someone who left involuntarily because they left unexpectedly, which makes me think maybe they were taken, kidnapped, brought to Mexico, or maybe they won a trip. This is We're the Millers.
Ooh,
We're the Millers is incorrect.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Did you see the chat?
That's a good movie.
There's one guess, and it's We're the Millers.
I was just trying to think of a movie where they go to Mexico, but they're doing something unexpected. Aren't they like smuggling drugs in that movie?
I don't know. I don't know that I've ever seen it.
We're the Millers is hilarious, dude. You should see it. That movie's funny. That's the one with Jason Sudeikis? Or Jason Bateman?
Sounds right. Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, that's a good flick.
I always mix up all movies that involve famous people making a movie in an RV traveling. There's like
RV.
There's three of them. There's like RV, there's We're the Millers, and then there's another one. There's a third one that I may be thinking of whenever I'm saying We're the Millers.
You're thinking of no, Are We There Yet? But that's not an RV. That's like a suburban.
Yeah, there's another RV.
Oh, that movie's good though.
Are We There Yet is phenomenal.
So good.
Oh, I'm going to watch that after this.
Same. And then what's the second? What's the sequel called? Are We There Yet? Now or something like that.
I haven't seen the sequel.
Let's see. Simon, you did not get that one correct. Coop, I'll give you one more opportunity to steal this. Some redemption here. Two factory workers Whoops, sorry. It was
tax
advisor leaves his job unexpectedly and goes to Mexico.
Tax advisor leaves his job unexpectedly, goes to Mexico. And now I'm wondering if maybe this is like a smuggling type movie. Tax advisor leaves his job unexpectedly, goes to Mexico. Is this No Country for Old Men?
This is not No Country for Old Men. Simon, last opportunity.
I don't know what
Okay,
Llewellyn Moss's job is, but
I'm going to take a shot in the dark here. I'm going to go with maybe. I know that in Dinner for Schmucks, Steve Carell's character worked for the IRS. It's the only tax character I can think of in any movie, but I have no memory of him going to Mexico. I just remember him having a happy ending, like getting married, but I don't remember if he went to Mexico. But I'm going to say Dinner for Schmucks.
Dinner for Schmucks is incorrect. This is Shawshank Redemption.
I have not seen Shawshank Redemption.
Yes, that is correct, but that's a tough one because
that is a tough one. Not much information there.
You missed the whole prison aspect there.
Yeah, vague descriptions. It's right there in the name. Well, I guess not well done, guys. Sorry, no points on that one.
That was a tough one. Did anyone in the chat get it? That's how I measure my.
No one in the chat got it.
If the chat gets it, I mean, the chat is good, so you can't always just say if the chat gets it. But if the chat doesn't get it, I feel a little bit better.
It does.
The chat was not able to get this one, so it was pretty tough. Simon, this next one's yours.
Okay, who's in sync with me in the chat?
We'll see. The category is movie. Your vague description is 2 factory workers unravel a terrifying plot.
2 factory workers unravel a terrifying plot. This feels like a big misdirect. For the terrifying makes me think children's movie immediately. Like it just feels like I'm being pulled towards a kid's movie of some sort. But what? Factory. 2 factory workers
uncover a terrifying plot.
Is this the animated movie from the early 2000s, Robots?
The movie Robots is incorrect.
Okay. If that is the answer, that'd be far too obscure.
One line from that. Do you guys remember that movie? No. And it was the red robot, and he goes, "I know this town like the back of my hand." Oh, that's new. And I swear that like my elementary school, we just ran around saying that, like, "Oh, that's new," for like months.
I don't think I ever saw the movie Robots. So that would have been a tough one for me. This is a tough one in general, though. 2 factory workers undercover a terrifying secret. That's what we got going on.
Plot.
Unravel a terrifying plot.
Unravel. So not just discover. They unravel the hell out of it.
Terrifying plot. Terrifying. Is this a horror movie? Could be a comedy movie. The hard part for me is factory workers. Like, what kind of factory are we talking about here? Is this? Oh, dude, I can't even think of a single 2 factory. Is this a Dude, Where's My Car?
This is not Dude, Where's My Car. Simon, Redemption.
So I just went a different route, and I'm going to say it out loud in the hopes that, like, if I don't get it, Coop, I want the assist here.
Yeah.
Because we got defeated by the last one. Now, like, as soon as we miss one, I get like,
yeah. Now
like
it's
territorial. Like, now we got to get these. I still want to beat you, but I want to beat the game first.
Right. We got to prove that we know what we're doing.
A Christmas movie.
Ooh.
The factory workers could be elves. That is a whole subgenre of movies that involves factory workers whenever it's difficult to think of factory workers. So that's the route I went here.
Interesting.
But now unravel a terrifying plot. 2 factory workers. Okay, Elf only has 1 factory worker, and he wasn't very good.
I immediately thought of Elf.
Because Zoe Deschanel never worked in the factory, even though, and she doesn't really, it's not really a plot. There's no evil plot. They're just saving Christmas from the lack of Christmas spirit. I don't.
You might be putting us down a completely
Bad
wrong.
Santa.
What was it?
Bad Santa.
Bad Santa is
They are
incorrect.
Mall workers. 2 factory workers uncover a terrifying plot. Is this?
Unravel.
Is this Tommy Boy?
This is not Tommy Boy. Ernie in the chat said Ozark. And
That's a
Dustin
TV
said
show.
Laverne to Shirley. but only one person got it right in the chat, and that is Mr. Nick Danuccio, who
Oh.
got Monsters Inc.
Oh my god! My first inkling was right in children's movie.
Right.
Terrifying was a double clue
They
because
work
they're
at
monsters and they
this-
scare people.
The Scare Factory.
Terrifying plot. Unravel a terrifying plot. Yeah.
Randall.
Mike Wazowski.
No, that's a good movie.
Now that is a good movie.
That was a really good Roz impression, Jo.
Thank you. It's not hard. She's like the easiest person to do an impression of. Randall scared the absolute hell out of me.
He's such a
When I was a kid.
slithery boy.
You've seen him in you guys have seen Monsters University, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. if
So
I have.
good.
I'm gonna
Is it
argue
good?
better than the original.
Really?
But Randall
very
in
good.
there is Monsters Inc. existed so that we could have Monsters University with the feelings already attached to the characters. Is how
Yeah.
I feel. Because Monsters Inc. was great. Monsters University is the story I wanted. Know what I mean? Like
They're both amazing.
it's a better story. Like, you know what I mean? I feel a little more invested, but I love both of them.
I
But
gotta see
Randall
that.
in
I
Monsters
don't think I've seen
University
it.
is one of my favorite characters.
It also like came out when we were in college, and it was just very like, I don't know, the whole premise is about like Greek life at college, so it's just very funny.
it was a fun
relatable.
movie. It was a fun movie.
Well, Coop is up 2-0. You guys want to do
missed
one
that
more
one.
round, or you want to
Yeah.
call it?
One more round.
One more round. All right. Coop, you're up on this one. Your category is object. Your vague description is amusement depot.
The amusement depot. I'm guessing this isn't an amusement park then. A amusement depot. Is this an arcade?
This is not an arcade. Simon, you can steal this point from Coop.
What was the category again?
Category was object.
And the
Vague description was amusement depot.
depot, as in DPOT,
Mm-hmm.
like the home,
Like the home.
like the home. Okay. Amusement depot. So fun is another word for amusement. The fun store, the fun shop, the excitement store, the excitement bodega. I'm trying to like just jog my memory with words here. The above average positive feelings in your brain corner market. No,
I think
we're
that's
not
it.
getting any. So we've got
Official guess.
Official guest is amusement depot, and this is an object. I'm going to go with a credit card.
A credit card is incorrect.
It's kind of like a store for fun.
Coop, you
Yeah,
want to take another guess?
Amusement depot. Entertainment.
The
box.
depot is throwing me off for object.
Xbox.
Xbox. Is that your guess?
Yeah, it is.
That is incorrect. Simon, your
Okay.
last opportunity here.
A
That
smart
wasn't my
TV.
guess, but then I was just like, sure, that's my guess.
Smart TV.
Smart
Ooh.
TV is incorrect.
Oh, that feels good though.
Heck is it?
This was, Coop, you were close. It's the PlayStation.
What? Dude, that's so much better than Xbox.
Well-
If I had just sat and thought about it for another moment, I might have arrived at PlayStation. Right?
Amusement depot, PlayStation. I was
Yeah.
thinking I got too hooked on the home part of Home Depot.
I don't even.
I was
get
thinking
Xbox.
store, shop, bodega.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, it's all right. Nobody's going to get the points on that one, but we have one more to go through. You guys
Did
ready?
the chat get that one?
For the love of God, let me score a
The
point.
chat did not.
Chat, you cowards, wake up.
All right. Your next one, Simon. The category is movie. And the vague description is a streetwise janitor does math good.
Streetwise janitor does math good. If this is the movie, I haven't seen it in a very long time, and I'm trying to remember if he was a janitor or not. A streetwise janitor does. Oh, I was going the other way. This is definitely not Rain Man, without a doubt.
Definitely not, bro.
He was not a streetwise
I
janitor.
got
Would not
this one.
Would not be
I
the
got-
three words I would use to describe him.
If you don't get this one, Simon, I got this one.
This is like a poker something. This is like good at math, a streetwise janitor. This is the heart of the cards.
The
heart of the cards is incorrect. Coop.
The main actor from this is in a poker movie. It's funny you said that. But I believe that this one is
in a lot of movies.
Good Will Hunting.
This is Good Will
Where
Hunting.
He's the janitor and he's just like solving math equations and like, how about them apples? You know,
so I have only seen the one scene from that movie of Robin Williams sitting on the bench with Matt Damon and giving him like oh, you think you know everything kind of speech. I've seen that probably 10 times because my girlfriend's brother is obsessed with that speech. And every time it's just me and him coming out, he pulls it up on YouTube and he's like, we got to watch it. We got to watch it. So I've seen it over and over and over again. And in his defense, it's a pretty good speech. And I like Robin Williams and I like Matt Damon. But that's all I know about that movie. I had no idea anyone was a janitor or they were good at math. In fact, I knew more about art. I thought that movie was like an art movie because they talk quite a bit about like paintings and stuff in that speech.
No, not at all.
I love that period of movies where Casey Affleck just plays a moron in everything. He's just like such a simpleton from that movie.
Who the heck is Casey Affleck?
Yeah, I don't know. I laughed and now I'm Googling
Ben Affleck's little brother. He's in that movie playing his like dumb little brother. He's also
I didn't know that was his brother.
Yeah, he's also super dumb in the assassination of
just
Jesse
going
James,
in
right?
because he's his dumb little brother and he's also super dumb in this and he's wicked dumb over here and he's mad dumb in this one.
He is dumb in everything. Ocean's 11. Like I feel like every movie
he was in Interstellar.
I don't remember him in Interstellar.
Oh, he was one of the chairs in the spaceship. They had a really nice costume for him. Yeah.
Well, Coop, you were going to win this game of vague descriptions 2-0, 2-0.
All right.
Time for your naked mile.
Yeah, I'll go do that during the break.
Get out there.
Sound excited for it. Yes.
Well, no, it's just like I mentioned, there's that one neighbor who is going to be a little too excited that I run by.
Every time.
Peeping out his window every morning. Guys, coming up, I'm going to run naked through the streets, and then we're going to play some Quotey McQuote Face, and then we've got a segment called the Moreau where we teach you a little bit about something that we've learned recently. At Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah till he was about 19.
Nice. So your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required. And then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
You don't need to be like right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we could probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, it doesn't count. Sorry.
Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
And I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right, he's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player's just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it, which I get it. All of us are in that world. We love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season, and these players just slamming up tablets. It's like they've become Gilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Bettor Sports Network. Coop and I are here, just hanging.
Hogs, baby.
Coop and the Hogs. Yeah. Got some contrapuntal coming up, some quotey McQuoface, a little bit of Moreau, you know how it is.
I like that.
You know how it is.
I like that lineup there. Where did Simon go, JL?
Simon is in the Mediterranean. He actually just had to pick up Mediterranean food down the street, but he told us he was going to Mediterranean.
Down the street in Greece.
In Greece, yep, Mediterranean in Greece.
Hopefully, he brings us back some olives.
No, please, God, no.
So you're not an olive guy. So that's the thing is, I don't love them, but I don't hate them. I feel like most people either love them or hate them, but I'm kind of the thing about the olive is that it's all relative for me. When I'm eating a salad, the olives are kind of the best part in there. But then when I'm eating a pizza, the olive is the worst part on there. So it really ends up being a middle of the road food for me.
See, I feel like I'd just rather have salad than stinky, poopy olives. But
so you're saying
I guess I see where you're coming from.
You know what? Sometimes you don't know where I'm coming from. Stinky and poopy. My dad's a big olive guy.
Well, that makes sense. The olive doesn't far from the tree.
Olive dad
nailed
tree.
It.
Yeah, making a lot of sense.
We got Albert in the chat. Said, "Good morning, everyone." Good morning, Albert. We got Simon in here. Said, "Got to get that breakfast shawarma." Got to
get shawarmed up, dude. Got to get shawarmed up.
Ernie guessed Ozark. I don't know if I brought that up. I don't remember what he was guessing for, but it's incorrect.
I remember what he was guessing, and it's such a terrible guess because it was a movie that he was trying to guess, and he guessed a TV show.
Oh, and that's a TV show.
You're giving yourself a 0% chance of hitting on that one, Earn Dog.
Yeah. Well,
that's not going to make it.
Hey, if you got questions, you got fantasy questions, dynasty questions, football, any questions really, throw them in the chat. Chat. We will answer them. That's what we're here for.
I got some questions for you, JL. And we always like to talk about where the best landing spots are, where we want guys to go. I've been looking at all these teams, and there are a couple running back landing spots that are straight up bad, right? For fantasy
for rookies or just in general. I guess rookies or free agents.
In general, I'll give you an example, right? And it's an example of a team that needs a running back. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They have Kenneth Gainwell, who is a decent pass catching back. He's already on the team. He's going to be there, and he's going to be just annoying enough where he's going to work in on some pass plays. He's going to, he's been able to score, even when they give him carries from outside the red zone, he sneaks them in there, right? Kind of vulturing touchdowns. They have Jalen Hurts, who is who is top 2 in the league in carries from inside the 5-yard line, right? Only behind Jamal Williams. And that team, even with Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell, because of the mobility of Jalen Hurts, was dead last in target share for running backs. So they really don't throw it to the running backs. And as we've seen, Andrew Erickson did us a favor as
Friend
a
of the show.
friend of the show. Andrew Erickson did us a favor in the community. He did research on that and basically mathematically proved what we already know, that mobile quarterbacks, they don't dump it down as much as other quarterbacks, right? So the reality is Miles Sanders is leaving. We have to take a running back and put him in that spot. So, like, you as a dynasty gamer, what free agent running back out there would you think would be a good fit for that team that you'd be willing to kind of throw to the Lions? They don't they don't necessarily have to catch passes too. So it's like you could like I've got a couple guys that I would suggest, but like I don't know, it would be a bad landing spot for a few. Like I wouldn't want Saquon Barkley to go there.
Definitely not Saquon Barkley. That would be super disappointing for my dynasty teams.
Right.
Trying to think who are some. Let's see, Joe Mixon. He's potentially a cut candidate.
Yeah, if
Wouldn't want him to go there.
If Joe Mixon got cut and then ended up there, that would be a huge. To me, that's a. And I know people will say like, "Oh, well, having the mobile
It's a
QB,
good offensive line.
it opens
Maybe
up
if
the run."
they get a yeah.
The thing is, though, it's like, but at the end of the day, when you look at a game where a guy has 60, 70 rushing yards and either scores or doesn't, those aren't really that good of games. They really do need to be catching passes.
If they upgrade at the running back position, it's possible that they feature the running back position a bit more. Now they still have Jalen Hurts, who's going to rely on the scramble, rely on his own legs, like we see with every rushing quarterback, where maybe the team would have given that to the running back. And I think that's your point, is that regardless of if they're a good team, the opportunity probably isn't going to be as enticing as it seems.
Exactly. It's like if you're Drew Brees and you're standing in the pocket and the pocket's collapsing, of course you're going to just dump it over to Alvin Kamara, right? He's going to get a million of those. But if you're Jalen Hurts, you look at that guy and you say, "Hey, go block somebody. I'm running," right? So, yeah, I've been looking at a few of them. One name that I think would fit perfectly there. It would probably vaporize his value for dynasty. Actually, it might even, because he doesn't really catch a lot of passes, it might be okay. Is Rashad Penny?
Yeah.
Rashad Penny has never.
Or Kareem Hunt was the other one I was going to bring up, but they're kind of similar.
Well, the different Kareem Hunt has had seasons where he's caught like 70 passes before. Rashad Penny's
a bit more on the catch.
Rashad Penny's never caught double-digit passes in a season. He is just a pure running down guy. So I think that would be a guy where if you put him over there, he wasn't catching passes anyway, so at least he gets a better offensive line. I think I would dump him over there. The Bills are in a similar situation where they have James Cook and then they have Josh Allen at quarterback. That's a spot where I'm willing to just throw whoever. Now,
yeah, and Kareem Hunt and Rashad Penny being when I mentioned they're similar, is that I feel like they're both fit into that mold you're talking about, which I'd be willing to give to the Eagles and just let that be a giant committee. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it wouldn't bother it too much. So Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny, Jamal Williams, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, now with teams like Jamal Williams would be another good one where at this stage he doesn't really catch a lot of passes. The opposite is a team like the Seahawks. They need someone else besides Kenneth Walker, but you don't like Kenneth Walker can handle the close yardage. He can handle the ground and pound. They need kind of a pass catcher. Kareem Hunt in that situation would be all right, but he would hurt Kenneth Walker. I'm trying to think like a Samaje Perine. Who are some other pass catchers that could end up over there?
Does Deonta Foreman catch passes? No.
No, he's more, but he does the same thing. But the thing is, if you're a Kenneth Walker owner, you want them to bring in a guy that does the same thing as your guy, except worse, right? You want Kenneth Walker to be the starter and to do everything, and then the backup comes in when he's tired or when he's hurt, like Alexander Madison behind Dalvin Cook. The last thing you want is another guy coming in that does the same thing as your guy. Sorry, another guy that comes in and does a complementary thing to your guy, where they say, okay, it's third down. Let's take Kenneth Walker out and put in Kareem Hunt because he's better at catching passes. That's the last thing you want. So for me, when I'm looking at these free agent landing spots, it's not just about who has an open spot. It's about how does he fit in that room. Like I don't want if they were to draft a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, that would be a nightmare, and it could happen. So interesting things that we're looking at. I'm looking at all that stuff in my series right now over at fantasyalarm.com. Check it out. Doing a team a day. Just did the Falcons, recently did the Eagles. Come check it out.
Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. Those are the top two names I'd say at running back in terms of running back free agents this season.
Easily, dude. Easily. Yeah. I would also put in that range. I would say Miles Sanders, he has a 5.
He's sniffing
Yeah, he's
behind those other guys. But yeah, right
those
there.
those guys are in their own tier, I would say. If we're gonna tier it out, I would say Saquon and Jacobs in the top tier. And then if Mixon gets cut, he's probably close, but maybe not in that tier. Next tier down, guys like Miles Sanders, averaging 5 yards a carry in their career. Dustin in the chat saying Tony Pollard. I would put Tony Pollard and Miles Sanders right in the same territory. Guys
Yeah.
are both very efficient, not really, all that big. I would also say that in the neighborhood, I mean, where would you put David Montgomery? Would you put him ahead of that crew or in the same crew?
I think he belongs in the Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders and
Yeah, with
David
the Miles
Montgomery
Sanders.
belong. Yeah, they belong in a tier together, and that would be the tier 2 in my mind. And I think
Okay.
Jamal Williams. You could make an argument for Jamal Williams being there. I think you can definitely make a stronger argument for him not being in that tier, but
Yeah.
he's
What
at
about
least in that conversation.
what about Alexander Madison? I think people don't realize that Alexander Madison was drafted very young out of college.
Is he a free agent?
He's a free agent this year. Finally, he's still only 24 years old. So he's unrestricted free agent, can sign anywhere he wants. 24 years old. And I mean, when he's been put in that spot into that Dalvin Cook role, he's had games with like 130, 140 rushing yards. So
Yeah.
I think maybe you put him in the third tier. But I mean, there's a huge group of guys that are available. I mean, even Damian Harris is a pretty solid back. So so when you add up all the guys that are available in free agency, plus how kind of deep this draft class is for running back, I mean, now is the time if you need to strike.
Yeah.
Yeah. We always talk about Miami being one of the top running back landing spots. What are some others that we think where guys could really thrive if you get a Saquon Barkley there?
Miami.
Going through these teams, Miami's a good one. Miami's a good one.
Sorry, my excuse is I just jumped in and I am going to say I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah.
The
What about Miami?
Could be.
I
Miami.
could see the Dolphins would be a good landing spot.
Dolphins could be good. Dolphins.
I've heard running backs are good in South Florida.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Central
What about the
Florida.
Raiders?
Well, that's the thing is the Raiders.
Josh Jacobs leaving. Is that a good spot?
They need to bulk up on offensive line. There's some offensive
they do.
linemen floating around that teams could have, but the Raiders don't really have a ton of cap space either. So
You mean
Raiders
Alex Leatherhead isn't enough?
No,
Leatherhead.
not Leatherhead.
What's his name? Alex
Leatherwood.
Leatherwood. Yeah.
Leatherbelt. Alex Leatherbelt.
Leatherbrain.
Yeah. The thing is the landing spots, the best landing spots for guys like Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley might just be the Giants and the Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking around. It's if Joe Mixon leaves the Bengals, but their offensive line isn't phenomenal. It's improving.
Wow.
We expect that to be their primary focus this offseason. But if they're spending up on a free agent running back, then wah wah. I imagine the teams like the Raiders struggling with cap space. That screams draft a back in the second or third round. Like or second to fourth round. That's what the Raiders are screaming at me.
Tommy makes a good point. The Cowboys have, there's been rumors about them cutting Zeke. If Tony Pollard's a free agent and they cut Zeke, I mean, that's a good offensive line. There's also been rumors that Tyron Smith might not have so many years left, but they still have guys like Zach Martin. I mean, that could be a good landing spot.
Yeah. And then I think at least at the beginning of the season, Coop, you brought up Chase Edmonds the other day. The Broncos, Javonte Williams is not healthy yet. Know what I mean? If they sign a big name free agent running back, we're going to see that back find success for the first quarter of the season, third of the season, maybe work out a role there.
Yeah. Now I sent a tweet yesterday that got mixed reviews. And again, this is a tweet where I've myself have said that these teams could add complementary backs, but I said Dameon Pierce and Tyler Algier should be safe for at least another season. And I followed that up with the Texans and Falcons are virtually dead last in Super Bowl odds. So it would be silly for them to spend up on a short shelf life luxury position this offseason. So to me, I'm not even saying that Dameon Pierce and Tyler Algier are too good for them to draft a running back. I think that it would be crazy for these teams when the odds of them winning the Super Bowl, I think they're literally either the bottom 2 teams or 2 out of the bottom 3 with the Cardinals. Why would you load up on running back, which is the shortest shelf life position, when you're not even close to competing now? That's my thought process. But when I look around the league, there aren't too many teams that do need running backs. So maybe they do bring in another RB. What do you guys think? Do you think the Texans should supplement those backfields, or do you think they should just roll with it and try and wait as long as they can before bringing in a high-end running back?
Piece together your backfield. Fix
That's
the
what-
other holes in your team.
That's what
Running
I'm
backs
saying,
are cheap in the NFL. It's the unfortunate reality that we live in.
Yeah.
It stinks, dude.
Now, another spot, I know we've talked about what rushing quarterbacks can do for running backs. It's twofold, right? It depends on the type of rushing quarterback as well. One, it can make the running back's job easier when it comes to just picking up yardage, right? Creating those holes. They have to keep someone on that quarterback. If it's a Justin Fields or a Lamar Jackson, that frees up the running back a little bit. That being said, it also can vulture touchdowns from them. Miles Sanders should sue Jalen Hurts for the number of touchdowns that he's stolen off of his stat sheet. Now, we love it for Jalen Hurts. We hate it for Miles Sanders. That being said, with the potential of David Montgomery leaving Chicago, I know they've got Khalil Herbert in the wings, but every opportunity they had to give the job back to David Montgomery, they did. You know what I mean? It makes me wonder, do they trust Khalil Herbert? Is Chicago a decent landing spot for a running back?
See, everything we've talked about with the mobile QBs, it's like you get a boost in yards per carry, but in fantasy football, the yards are honestly the least important part. As sad as that is, it's all about receptions and touchdowns. A reception, especially in full PPR, a target is worth 2.74 times as much as a carry. We've done the math on it, and the getting those receptions ends up being so much more valuable. And mobile QBs really don't throw it to the running back as much. So they vulture the touchdowns. They don't throw it as much. And you get the benefit in the extra yards per carry. But, I mean, Devin Singletary's run for 5 yards a carry. Miles Sanders runs for 5 yards a carry. J.K. Dobbins runs for like 7 yards a carry with Lamar Jackson. But, like, it doesn't really translate to huge production for fantasy football. So I really don't like those landing spots with the mobile QBs. I don't want – if I'm Saquon Barkley owner, I don't want him going to the Bears.
I just look around and, like, after Miami, I feel like Chicago's in that next tier, and that kind of highlights the point. Not that they are a great landing spot for a running back, but I do think they're one of the better landing spots for a free agent running back.
In terms of just being able to be the starter, because there's a lot of places where you're not going to be able to even be the starter,
Unless you're Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley. Unless you're one of those two guys, you can probably go start for most of these teams. But all the other free agent running backs, the Damian Harris, the whoever else we're talking about here, probably not stealing any jobs from Aaron Jones.
And the landing spots I like for free agents is different than the ones that I like for rookies. Some people kind of lump them all together. I treat them totally differently. Like if I'm looking at a rookie like Bijan Robinson, I'm concerned about the long term because we have years and years and years to worry about this. When you look at a guy like Saquon Barkley, it's very short term. Like you need him to produce right now and next year and the year after that before the wheels fall off. So for Saquon Barkley, I need production right away. For a guy like Bijan Robinson or any other rookie running back, I look at some of these teams like the Chargers, and the first thought people will have is, oh, well, they have Austin Eckler. And my mind says, okay, Austin Eckler is a 30-year-old back that is a pass-catching back. So right away, my rookie running back will at least get part of that role. He'll get the early down work. And then as Austin Eckler fades off in the sunset, now he takes over the full role for a backfield for a team that just invested in Rashawn Slater. They just invested in the offensive line, and they have Justin Herbert, who is the exact kind of quarterback that is willing to dump it down to his running back. So for me, I'm looking more long term for these rookies versus for the free agents. I need production right away. Or like I can't have Saquon Barkley go to the Chargers and try and wait out Austin Eckler, right?
I think I put the rookies specifically at running back a little bit closer to how I look at free agent landing spots than I do with any other position.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because rookie running backs can contribute right away. And I feel like we've seen it time and time again. A player gets drafted to be the heir apparent, and then the player in front of them keeps on playing, right? And then in the meantime, while they keep on playing, they bring in oh, look at this value. Look at this running back that fell to the 4th round. Let's bring him in. Oh, this 7th round guy is better than we thought. Oh, Latavius Murray's a free agent and our backup got injured, and so we're signing him. Oh, he's pretty good. Things change so quickly in running back backfields on a team that even with rookies, I'm looking, are they going to help me this year?
Right.
Like, are they going to come in and are they going to have a role in this offense by halfway through the season? It doesn't have to be right away, but long-term for wide receivers, 2 or 3 years. Long-term for running back, I'm looking at like week 8. Know what I mean? Do I expect this guy to be the starter by week 8 of his first season? If not, then like, I don't know, man. That's maybe where landing spot comes into play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many teams that, you have to cross off then. It's like the Jaguars, with Travis Etienne. Like that
would suck.
That would be a split backfield forever. Like they can't go to the Jets, who just drafted Breece Hall, the Colts. Like there's so many teams you have to just completely cross off. Whereas like I look at some of these and I'm like, all right, the Titans, why not? Like if I have a Jahmyr Gibbs who catches passes, put him with Derrick Henry and kind of just wait out Derrick Henry. He's 29 years old, right? Like
I'm not convinced he's not eternal. That man might run exactly like he's running now for the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but at least Jahmyr Gibbs would have a role in that offense because he catches passes.
You're right. I see your logic. I just get it's really tough to predict something with so many moving pieces like a backfield. Know what I mean? More than a year in advance. So I get a little nervous, but you probably find an edge there when you're able to kind of predict those moves that I'm missing by avoiding them.
That's what's so great about wide receiver is that every team uses 3 wide receivers. So the talent can win out, right? You got 3 guys on the field, or every team uses at least 2. Some of these teams use fullbacks and all that, but every team uses at least 2, and most teams use 3. So the talent can win out. Whereas with running backs, you have to prove in practice you're better than this guy to even get on the field. And tight end is just a nightmare.
I was going to say, no, the best rookies to look at are tight ends because nobody can tell you you're wrong for 3 years.
Yeah.
After the 3rd year, they can tell you they're wrong. And usually people are
and they're allowed.
Because you can go, no, tight ends take a couple years to develop in the league. It's a big switch, learning how to block. Like it's a different thing, man.
Yeah. I've got a tight end landing spot that people aren't talking about that I think is going to be.
Me too.
What do you got?
My tight end landing spot that people aren't talking about. I'm not allowed to talk about it on the show.
Yeah, me neither. Damn. What should we talk about for the next couple minutes?
Mine was a butt joke. I think you have a real one.
That you're not allowed to talk about. I get it. I do have one. I was going to tweet about it later, but you know what? Here's a little exclusive for the show. The St. Louis Rams, or the Los Angeles Rams, in fact. Los Angeles Rams, I think, is a perfect landing spot for a good pass catching tight end because they do take a little time to develop. Right away, he's not likely to flash, but Tyler Higbee's 30 years old and he's never really been that great. Cooper Kupp turns 30 this year. Allen Robinson turns 30 this year. The window for this guy to be a top 2 target on his team is going to open up within the first couple of years. So, and Tyler Higbee's an unrestricted free agent next year. Bryson Hopkins an unrestricted free agent next year. There's a possibility that whatever tight end they draft, if they were to draft one early, he would be the only tight end on the roster next season. So this guy could be the starting tight end next year. And then as Cooper Kupp turns 31, 32 years old, now he's a top target on this team. So I think if you're going to be realistic about tight end and how it works in real life and works in dynasty, that's a spot where a guy could emerge within a couple years and be a fantasy relevant tight end pretty quickly.
Hot. Or they trade for someone like Austin Hooper and just have an average tight end getting peppered with targets.
Classic. Oldest trick in the book.
Oh, Hooper.
Yeah. I bet my prediction for Hooper is he ends up back with the Falcons.
That would make sense.
Inline tight end, and then Kyle Pitts just basically plays wide receiver. Boom. Lock it up.
Check it out.
Check it out. Guys, coming up, we are going to play some Quotey McQuote Face, and then we've got a Moreau to share with you. And I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, and I've got one today that I'm so excited to share. I hope you guys haven't heard it before. A little hint. It might have something to do with the Trix Rabbit. So I'm just kidding.
You son of a gun.
Guys, coming up, like I mentioned,
again.
Cody McQuote and the Moreau, coming up next. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
Sell me on doing away with the 2-conference system in the NFL.
Is it really a sale whenever this is something that's commonly agreed upon? I'm selling you on water being wet. I'm selling you on something that is objectively true right here. We look at teams at the end of the season and we go, how the hell does one team have such an easy schedule while another team is just absolutely getting obliterated? And that's because of the 2-conference system, because the division system feeds into this conference system. It's a symptom of the greater problem. Like these divisional matchups, you're telling me it's fair that the Buccaneers are in the playoffs after playing the Panthers twice, the Falcons twice, and the Saints twice this year? That is unbelievable. There are multiple more deserving teams every single year that, because of this system where we silo them into random groups, it determines the order. And yes, originally this was geography based, right? We have these divisions, they were geography. It's 2023, my dudes. Geography doesn't matter whenever it comes to the size of the United States. These teams can travel anywhere. They don't need to geographically locate them in divisions or conferences to make the games make more sense. If USC can be in the Big Ten, why the hell can't Miami play San Francisco every year? It can happen. They've got more money than these colleges and they're not taking classes. All it does is create an ecosystem where less talented teams can get rewarded for playing in weaker divisions and more talented teams are punished for continuing to improve.
Damn, bro.
Drop the mic.
I like to picture some geography teacher out there just threw a pen on the ground. He was like, how dare you? He smacked the globe. He was like, what do you
all
mean?
the hard work we've done.
2023 geography doesn't matter, right? Smacks his
You know
globe.
how long it took for us to get respect?
Globe goes spinning around, right? Geography doesn't matter. How dare you?
I'm just imagining they ripped on the world map and underneath is Algebra 2. Like they just go straight into being a math teacher.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Paper straws. Oh, they're so bad. Ray, I mean, I'm almost tempted to say screw Mother Earth. Give me a real straw. The paper straw thing is a step too far in saving the planet for me.
It's a great idea. The problem is it has to last. Like, it can't go mushy halfway through my drink.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. They have a hard time standing up if you don't drink that.
100%. That's my issue, Ray. I'm all for taking care of the only planet we got. But, Ray, some people like to drive a lot. I don't. I don't get on them for they have to drive 20 minutes to work every day. Can I just get a plastic straw? Like, I think, Ray, we should be able to pay for a card that says, I don't drive every day, so they said I could have this kind of environmental impact by getting a plastic straw. I am in favor, Ray, of government-issued plastic straws if I have the proof that I'm worthy of such. If you want it, you get it. It's kind of like the Clear Pass.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Like, Ray, I'd be willing to pay an extra $2 a year, and I get as many plastic straws as I want when I go out to the restaurant.
And the $2 goes toward cleaning the oceans or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not a terrible idea. Not terrible.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Bettor Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. I almost just read Tony Pollard straight from the chat thinking it was a new comment, but probably talking about something else.
Yeah, I think Tony Pollard is a free agent running back.
Yeah,
but we could just
Austin pointed that earlier.
We could just scream Tony Pollard's name and call it a segment.
Good.
Take turns, see who can say it the loudest or the funniest.
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
Okay. Damn it.
Tony Pollard.
That's pretty good. You see? Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard, you see?
Hodge Peterson and Tony Pollard.
Suppose I'm done. Supposing I'm fixed to start figuring.
With a right hook. Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard. And coming down the straightaway at the Daytona 500, it's Tony Pollard and the number 18 car.
Guys, if you enjoy this kind of talk, I see the link just dropped in our YouTube chat. Head on over and join our Discord, and you can talk about Tony Pollard all day in that Discord channel. But we're about to get into a game we call Quotey McQuoteface. Hardly even need to describe it after a title as descriptive as that, but I'll do so anyways. This is the game where contestants are going to be given a quote, an anonymous quote. They have to identify who said it and why they said it. The context of said quote. If they get the name of the person and the context, they're going to get 2 points, 1 point for each, but miss either part, and your opponent will have an opportunity to steal one or both, whatever you left dangling there for them. They get those right, they're going to steal the points, and the person with the most points at the end of Quote Him at Quote Face is the champion.
Let's go. All right. You and Coop, Simon, are competing against each other in this one.
That's us.
Simon, you're going to go first in this game since Coop went first in the other one. Are you ready for your first quote?
I'm ready.
All right. Here is your first quote.
I'm going to close the chat as well. A reminder, everyone watching, play along with us. Throw your answers in the chat. If you think you got it, throw them in there if you think you don't.
Chuck them.
We love it. All right, guys. Simon, here's your first quote. He ranks as one of my favorite players of all time. Having coached 10 Hall of Fame players in my career, I believe he deserves to be in that group. He was a coach's dream as a leader and a player. I never had any player that prepared himself as well as he. He belongs in the Hall.
He. So this is a coach talking about he making the Hall of Fame. And coach really thinks he should be in there. Is that enough information or are you going to need more?
I'm going to need more.
Okay, cool. So the person is Coach Blank, who recently retired because he said was a coach's dream. I've coached 10 Hall of Famers. So this is someone who's been a coach for a long time or was a coach for a long time, had a long coaching career or is in the midst of a long coaching career. Who could this be? The way they're talking, my mind goes to like what would be unexpected for someone to say. How many Hall of Famers has? I'm going to go with this is Bruce Arians talking about Tom Brady. I know it's obvious Tom Brady should be in there, but it doesn't feel right. But I'm going to go with this is Bruce Arians talking about Tom Brady.
Bruce Arians talking about Tom Brady is incorrect on both accounts. Coop?
Damn.
Can I hear the quote one more time?
Yes, you may. He ranks as one of my favorite players of all time. Having coached 10 Hall of Fame players in my career, I believe he deserves to be in that group. He was a player's coach. He was a coach's dream as a leader and a player. I never had any as well as he. He belongs in the Hall.
Okay, 10 Hall of Fame players. Wow. He belongs in the Hall. So my guess would be somebody that didn't get in this year that's kind of on the bubble, but nobody's really jumping out to me. Let me guess that this would be is this I'm going to guess this is Andy Reid talking about Jamal Charles.
Andy Reid talking about Jamal Charles is incorrect. Incorrect. This was Jimmy Johnson talking about Zach Thomas's Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah. I mean, he did get in, so I guess that makes sense. But Zach Thomas is the man. Absolutely deserves to be in.
I thought Jimmy Johnson for a second, but I couldn't think of a player to attach to him. I was just trying to think of coaches, like coaches that coached a long time. 10 Hall of Fame players is a lot, man.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, those Cowboys teams, when they had like the dynasty there, all those guys got in.
Yeah,
right? So they got a ton of guys from just those teams alone, and then with his Dolphins stint, there's another handful of guys, right?
Right. So nobody's gonna get points on that one, but you guys were getting there. Got
the idea.
Coop, you were going first in this next one.
Okay.
His leadership skills are undeniable. Impeccable work ethic. Other than he hadn't won some key playoff games, he's everything you'd want in a quarterback. From the day he walked in the door, he's won a lot of games. We just got to get over the hump.
Just got to get over the hump, because I immediately thought of Phillip Rivers, but then now they're talking about it's got to be an active quarterback now. The key playoff game thing, there are certain guys that struggled with that.
There's one that jumps to mind immediately.
Peyton Manning, Drew Brees.
Friendly reminder, play along in the chat. We love it. Throw your answers in the chat. If you get it before these guys, we will praise you. Make
I
fun of
can
them.
call you a nerd if I'm feeling sensitive.
Yeah, the guys that have been in the league for a longer period of time, it's like you could go either way. It could be a guy that's only been in the league for a few years that has a ton of wins over that span, or it could be somebody that's been in the league for a long time and just hasn't been able to get it done. That's the side that I feel like it's on. But I can't really think of anybody off the top of my head here that has won a ton of games but hasn't won the big game. So I'm gonna go with.
Don't take my answer.
I'm gonna go with this is Sean McDermott talking about Josh Allen, where he wins a ton of games but doesn't win playoff. It hasn't won.
That's a
lot of playoff games.
Sean McDermott talking about Josh Allen and his lack of playoff wins is incorrect. Both accounts. That was a very good guess, though, Coop. Simon, would you like to steal either point here?
I would like to steal both if I can.
Okay.
I'm calling an audible last second. I had a different answer prepared, but I just think this fits a little bit more with the optimism around this player that there hasn't always been optimism around in the league, but his new team seems to like him and seems to believe in him, and they are on the upward trajectory after an unexpectedly good season. I think this is Dan Campbell talking about his new quarterback, Jared Goff, in that offense and saying he's a good quarterback, just hasn't gotten over that hump yet.
Yeah, he's won a lot of games.
He's won a lot of games.
Simon, you're going with Dan Campbell talking about Jared Goff.
Yes, I am.
And his leveling up.
Yep.
But not winning the game. That is incorrect on both accounts.
Oh, I felt
also
so
very
good
good
about
guess.
that.
Also very good guess. Coop,
I-
redemption.
Is this okay? I'm gonna go with a guy that's dude. There's two guys that I want to do here, man. I'm gonna go with this is Jerry Jones talking about Dak Prescott, because I know there's been some rumblings about Prescott maybe getting an extension. So and Jerry Jones is always talking anyway. So give me Jerry Jones talking about Dak Prescott.
He does talk a lot. Just
Jerry Jones talking about Dak Prescott is half correct.
Ooh.
Context is correct. This person is talking about Dak Prescott and his development as a quarterback, lack of playoff wins, of course. But the person was not Jerry Jones who said this.
Not
so Simon,
Jerry.
you can steal this point from Coop if you can correctly guess who said this.
Feel like there's an obvious guess.
Yeah, but is it the obvious answer?
I don't know. Could be a pundit talking about it. Maybe it's.
Would you like the quote again?
One of the talking heads.
One more time.
His leadership skills are undeniable. Impeccable work ethic. Other than he hadn't won some key playoff games, he's everything you want in a quarterback. From the day he walked in the door, he's won a lot of games. We just got to get over the hump.
Could be a player too. Could be a
be.
player. You know what? I'm gonna call an audible here. A player who's in the media, or an ex-player who's in the media, who still talks about the team in a we sense a lot. I'm gonna say this is Tony Romo talking about Dak Prescott. I hear him say we when referring to the Cowboys semi-regularly.
Tony Romo is incorrect. This was
Wasn't
Dallas
obvious.
Cowboys Vice President Stephen Jones.
Oh, Stephen Jones. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone there. My next guesses were Mike McCarthy, and then after that, I would have guessed Skip Bayless.
Bayless.
He talks about the Cowboys like we, right?
We.
But I also saw him throw his Dak Prescott jersey in the trash. So maybe he's not that big a fan anymore.
All right, Coop.
God, I love jersey dramatics, jersey theatrics. Just
Oh my
like
God.
it's one of my favorite subsets of like people reacting in sports, because all you're doing is lighting $100 on fire or throwing $100 in the garbage or getting mud all over your $100. Like, and people do it like they're really hurting someone. Like, I'm going to light my LeBron jersey on fire. Okay, well, now you just have one less shirt, man, and one of your cooler shirts.
People tore that video.
Greenhouse gas effect.
Exactly.
People tore that video to shreds, dude. It was exactly how you described with the way he threw it. But the weirdest part of the video to me was that he had this like rug in his kitchen, and I'm just like, that rug is gonna get so gross.
Skip's a kitchen rug kind of guy.
Kitchen rug.
He's got carpet in his bathroom. Skip
Carpet
Bayless.
in the bathroom. Yeah, gross.
All right, Coop, you're going to get 1 point for correctly guessing the context in that last question. We're going to move on to our next question here, our next quote. Simon went first, not then to Coop, and then back to Simon. All right, Simon, this one is yours. Here's your quote. Pay the man, happy whatever way it go for you, but also come to KC.
Pay the man, happy whatever way it go for you, but come to KC. So this is someone, probably a player on the Kansas City Chiefs, trying to recruit a player that's going through contract negotiations right now, wants to get paid. Probably not a quarterback. Your mind immediately goes to Lamar Jackson there, but I can't imagine a player on the Chiefs being like, hey, come replace Patrick Mahomes, Lamar. Unless they're just like
tandem Lamar, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my God.
Can I hear it one more time?
Pay the man, happy whatever way it go for you, but also come to KC.
Here's where I'm rolling. This is someone vocal on the Kansas City Chiefs talking about, I'm going to give the context first. They're trying to recruit Saquon Barkley over to the Kansas City Chiefs. They're saying pay the man. The Giants got to pay him. But they're saying, hey, if they don't, come on over to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's the context.
I like that.
The person saying this is his former teammate, Kadarius Toney, is trying to get him to come over to the Chiefs. So this is Kadarius Toney trying to get Saquon Barkley to come to the Chiefs if the Giants won't pay him.
Kadarius Toney trying to recruit Saquon Barkley over to the Kansas City Chiefs is incorrect on both accounts.
What? That was perfect.
Wow.
That one's right too, JL. Look it up. I'm sure.
I will. I believe you. Coop, you have the opportunity to steal both points in this.
It was too good. It was
I've
too
never
good.
been so sure you were about to say that's 2 points than when I knew the quote, like when I'd seen it ahead of time.
Right. Yeah. I was so confident that you were right that now I don't know what to say. I'm thinking, I think running back feels right, but wide receiver could be right. But the best the best free agent wide receiver is already a guy that was on the Chiefs, right? So, you know, it's
He's just tweeting at Juju and the team.
I might just steal your answer and change it slightly. Although maybe it is a defensive player. That would be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Oh, wait a second. Maybe it's. What if this is Jason? So Jason Kelsey's a free agent. Maybe he's talking about. I'm gonna go. This is Travis Kelsey talking about his brother getting paid by the Eagles again, and also just kind of throw in there, hey, just come to the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs have Creed Humphrey. But
that's a pretty good answer.
Travis Kelsey talking about Jason Kelsey.
That's something Travis Kelsey would say. That is a pretty damn good answer, Coop.
Yeah.
Travis Kelsey talking about his brother Jason Kelsey and his contract being up is incorrect. Incorrect on both accounts. Simon, I'll offer you redemption on this one.
Keep going. Keep some running backs.
Yeah, let's just pick another player on the Chiefs that would have said this. So I'm going to go with it's not Juju because he's a free agent. I'm going to go with this is Isaiah Pacheco trying to recruit.
Come to the Chiefs.
Alan Lazard to come to the Chiefs. Little known fact, Pacheco and Lazard go way back. Lazard was actually Pacheco's babysitter growing up, and they used to play Virtua Tennis on the Dreamcast quite often. So he just wants his Dreamcast buddy back. That's the context behind this jail. Isaiah Pacheco trying to recruit Alan Lazard, his former babysitter, ex-Dreamcast buddy, to the Chiefs.
Show me the Dreamcast.
Simon, you are half correct.
Yes!
The context is correct. It is talking about Alan Lazard's contract situation. But the person who said it is incorrect.
Wow. You're not punishing me for the extra context.
It would be pretty obvious that these two players played Dreamcast together, but it wasn't a babysitter situation. I think it was more of a teammate situation. And the one guy that I know of on the Kansas City Chiefs that played alongside Alan Lazard was Mr. Marquez Valdez Scantling. So was this MVS that said this about Alan Lazard about playing Dreamcast?
Coop. This was MVS. Well done. You're gonna steal this point successfully. And each year, and you get a point.
Simon with the alley oop, dude. Couldn't that one? Once you got the hard part. I got the easy part.
I just happened to randomly land on the one free agent that we were talking about. Like that was a give up answer.
I was kind of amazed when you said Alan Lazard. I was like, did he just randomly pull that out of his ass?
Yeah,
Did he get it?
It was like I
also
said,
he wrote Adam Lazard.
Adam, it's his brother.
He also had a typo somehow in the other quote with the he. All those he's was just Keith.
He.
Yeah, that's just like it's like soccer. The ball was sitting like 1 inch in front of the net, and I just came in and kicked it as hard as I could into the top back of the net.
Upper 90, baby.
And then I pulled my shirt over my head and I was like, "Go El Gafudo, no, 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 no."
Nice.
Everyone's just quiet as Coop's doing that. The ball actually didn't go in, and Coop's just standing there, shirt over his face.
No.
Fake Spanish, running around the field, pissing.
Nobody's running with him.
Nobody's.
His team is rolling their eyes.
The ball's in like the upper deck. Like I managed to get over.
All right, well done. The score is 2-1. Coop is ahead, but this game is not over. Shocking. Coop, this next one is yours.
Dramatic.
You ready?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, here's your quote. I was sitting in the game day bus with Kirk Herbstreit. We were talking about it. He is a Steph Curry of college football and will be in the NFL. Throw out the measurables. He's just going to find a way to avoid contact and always be able to create and make that play that most quarterbacks can't. Who said this and what are they talking about, Coop?
In the bus with Kirk Herbstreit. There's only so many guys allowed on that bus. Could be Lee Corso, hangs out with Kirk a bunch. Could be maybe it's who was the tiny hand quarterback from Notre Dame that.
If this is Lee Corso, this quote's from 15 years ago.
Yeah, maybe it's
if
Brady.
There was that many like words strung together that well in that sentence.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess this is Brady Quinn, and he's talking about. Kind of a device. You can't just pick like the number one prospect because it's got to be a more divisive type guy. I'm gonna say there's a lot of people that are on the like people either love him or hate him, and that would be Anthony Richardson. He's kind of this year's Malik Willis, I would say. So give me Brady Quinn talking about Anthony Richardson.
Brady Quinn talking about Anthony Richardson is incorrect on both accounts. Simon, you have the opportunity to steal both points here if you'd like.
It's Can you read the quote for me one more time?
I absolutely can. I was sitting in the game day bus with Kirk Herbstreit. We were talking about it. He's the Steph Curry of college football and will be in the NFL. They're out the measurables. He's just going to find a way to avoid contact and always be able to create and make that play that most quarterbacks can't.
This is Pat McAfee talking about CJ Stroud on the bus with Kirk Herbstreit as a prospect coming out.
Simon, you said this is Pat McAfee talking about CJ Stroud. That is incorrect.
Damn.
Coop, I'll offer you redemption on this one. You want to take another shot?
Yeah. Is this let's see. Who else is on the bus? I know Urban Meyer does college game day sometimes. How about Urban Meyer talking about Bryce Young?
Urban Meyer talking about Bryce Young is half correct.
Which half?
Half correct. The context. This person is talking about Bryce Young, his size, his prospect coming into the NFL, but it wasn't Urban Meyer. Simon, you can steal this point like Coop did to you the game previous.
Who's on that bus? Who's on that bus?
I'm trying to remember who the freaking guest picker was for Alabama this year.
Who's on the bus?
Shoot, what the hell is that country singer's name that always sings on The Voice? He wears a chain. I can picture him perfectly, but I can't think of his name.
Is it Terry Bradshaw?
Yes, the country singer Terry Bradshaw, who's always on The Voice. Country and gospel singer Terry Bradshaw. He's had some award-winning gospel albums.
Terry's got bangers, dude.
Terry, I want to issue a public apology to Terry. I laughed out loud at the idea of you actually being a singer, and I did some more research after the show yesterday. You had a successful music career, and could have done that instead of football, probably. So Terry Bradshaw, a lot more multi-talented of a man than I gave his goofy paperboy hat wearing ass. Based on what I've seen on TV. I forgot what we were doing.
Well, I'll give you another second.
You're guessing who said the quote.
I'll give you another second to think about it while I bring up an awesome moment that happened in baseball. There's a very divisive ump named Joe West. I think he finally retired. But Joe West himself also had country music. Like, he plays his own country music. And one time, the Dodgers, the first player goes up to a bat and he does his walk up to the plate, and they play the walk up music, and it's a Joe West song. And Joe West is behind the plate, and you see him, he's like looking around, he's like, what the hell? And then, they go through the at bat. I forget what happens. The second player comes up to the plate, and sure enough, it's a Joe West country song that he's coming up to.
Different song?
Different song. Every one of the players for the Dodgers picked a different Joe West country song as their walk-up song. So that after like the third one, Joe West like took his mask off. He's like, time out. Like, it was one of the, they just paid a little tribute to Joe West by every one of them picked a Joe West country song as their walk-up song, which is pretty
awesome.
Yeah.
That being said, I could not pull the name of that country artist, but I can picture him sitting there for College Game Day. So I'm just going to go with a guy I know sitting next to him. Was this Desmond Howard talking about the player that Coop got correct?
This was not Desmond Howard.
Charles Woodson?
This was not Charles Woodson. This is Todd McShay.
Todd McShay. Well, two classic
obvious
country artist, Todd McShay.
Classic country artist, Todd McShay, yeah. Well, Simon, you did not get that point, but Coop, you will get a point successfully on this one, putting you 2 points ahead of Simon.
Hurrah.
It's not been my day. The only point in any game I've gotten was off a complete and total Hail Mary Alan Lazard Dreamcast guess. Vague descriptions didn't go well.
You threw it 70 yards downfield, and it tipped off a guy's hands right into my hands. I was just standing there.
Yes!
I was MVS, just like, oh, touchdown me. We both get a touchdown, Simon.
We did it.
Scott Fish in the chat said, I weighed in at 230.4 today. I've lost 10 plus pounds since FSGA, where I realized I needed to lose weight. Try this weird formula of eating less and working out a little bit almost daily. I've not been under 230 since before COVID. Wish me luck.
Hell yeah, Scott. And Scott, you have discovered the one secret diet that actually works. Everyone's going to try all this crazy stuff. And don't get me wrong, you can be healthy with a bunch of these plans, but just eating a little less and exercising. Don't set crazy rules for yourself. You want French fries? Maybe have a couple fewer. Don't eat them 5 times a week. Have them twice a week. You want pizza? Have 2 slices instead of 6. Then work out.
I'll tell you what, another secret part of this formula, forget sitting in a dark room for 4 days like Aaron Rodgers. All you need to do is take a plane ride home from Las Vegas. And that's when a man and his thoughts will really do some deep thinking about how they need to fix their life. Like, that's where you decide to make some life changes, when you get out of that.
Shit, I gotta call my mom more.
Get out of that desert all hungover.
I need to lose my weight.
Yeah, I was on the way home. I was like, we got something we got to figure out.
Chap licks. My hands are still bleeding from how dry it was out there. Like, I've got like open wounds on my hand from them just like breaking apart from that desert.
Yeah.
Nick said, let's go, Scott. Hide your eyes, boys.
Look out now.
We got a slippery fish coming on.
Look out now.
Slippery fish on deck.
Scooter, you keep that pace up. We're gonna have to have you on the field for flag football this year at the Expo.
I was gonna say,
Scooter. You keep this up, Scooter.
Hey, Scooter.
We're gonna have you out there.
Scooter fish.
Scooter fish.
The visual I have, it's not a normal scooter, but I picture a fish with arms and legs for some reason on one of the ones where, like, if you have a broken leg where you just put one knee on the platform and then you've got the handlebars and you scoot along, and that's what the scooter fish rides.
The Scooter fish.
We've all called my buddy from home. His name's Scott. We call him Scooter because that's what his mom used to always call him, and he doesn't like it. So Scott, if you don't like being called Scooter, let us know now, because then we'll definitely continue to call you.
They're called what, Chow?
Boot wagons.
Oh, here comes.
Load up the boot wagon, baby. We're going to Vegas.
Here comes. Hide your wives. Hide your wives, boys. Here comes Scooter.
Here comes the fish.
Scooter on the boot wagon.
I got an 8-hour shift in the boot wagon later today.
I'm naming my fantasy team Scooter.
Where's my boot wagon?
Where's my boot wagon? The ice cream man's here. Where's my boot wagon?
It has been 3 weeks since the boot wagon came around here, and I need a new pair. I'm just telling you, it is past Labor Day, and my white pair of boots ain't going to do me no good, but that boot wagon hasn't shown up around town anytime recently.
I'm changing my team name in fantasy to Scooter's Boot Wagon.
Scooter boot wagons.
Scooter boot wagon.
Every one of us said a different word as plural. We had the Scooter Boots wagon, the Scooter Boot wagons, and Scooter's Boot wagon.
Who the heck said Scooter Boots wagon? Which one of you said that?
I said
Scooter Boots wagon. Yeah, that should be your new alias if you need to come up with a fake name. Like, what's your name? Scooter Boot Wagon?
Scooter B Wagon.
Scooter B Wagon.
Yes, it do.
Yes, he do.
Yeah, sure do.
Guys are so dumb.
Scooter lost 10 pounds and he be wagging everywhere.
Scooter B Wagon? Sure do. All right.
We got another quote, or is that the end of the game? Did I lose?
That's the end of the game. You lost.
Oh, damn. Well, guys, I have lost.
Scooter
Boot, Scootin' Boogie. We are going to Scooter Boogie right into our next segment shortly. We're going to teach you a little something in the Moreau, so stick around. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
Do you believe in the Madden curse? Do you think that's a real thing?
I did. Now, I don't think it's as big of a deal anymore, but it was a real thing for a solid 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it was Sean Alexander, LaDainian Tomlinson, Peyton Hillis.
LT was never on the cover. I know that.
Was he not? I thought he was one. Okay, well, you do know all the covers of everything.
Yeah, okay. So if you want, I could do this real quick. So Garrison Hurst is the first official Madden cover athlete, 1999. 2000, I believe they still put John Madden on the cover. And then 2001 is where it all started. So 2001, you have Eddie George. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall Falk. 04, Michael Vick. 05, Ray Lewis, first defensive player on the cover.
Okay.
06, Donovan McNabb. 07, Sean Alexander.
Okay.
08, Vince Young. 09, Brett Favre.
Okay.
10 is a trick one because it's
no way you know.
And Larry Fitzgerald. 11, Drew Brees. 12, Peyton Hillis. 13, Calvin Johnson, I believe so.
You're right.
14.
No way you know all this.
14, also a trick question. I believe that's the Madden 25 cover, and it's Barry Sanders, unless you got it for the new consoles, in which case Adrian Peterson
oh my God.
was on the cover.
You're not cheating. You're not looking at.
Swear on my life. Swear on my life.
Okay. Keep on going.
15, you have Richard Sherman.
Okay.
16. Hold on. 16 is Odell Beckham.
Okay.
16. 17. Now this is the one I get mixed up because 17 and 18 are back-to-back Patriots.
They are.
17, I think, is Gronk, and 18 is Brady.
You are correct.
19 is Antonio Brown.
Correct.
20, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh my goodness.
21, Lamar Jackson. 22, Brady Mahomes. 23, John Madden. But yeah, dude, I'm a cover nerd when it comes to this stuff.
We now know, but that was really impressive. I don't know how.
Thank you.
That's literally 29 of them or something like that. Wow, that is. You did not miss a single one, and you even got the special editions where they had 2 people on the covers.
Monday Night Rants on Bettor Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Bettor Sports Network. Some days that rejoin music comes on and I'm just in like a dancing mood. Some days I'm like, oh God, Jalen Cooper on the other side of that music. But some days I'm like, woo! I'm just like getting all the willies out right before it starts.
You ready to scoot?
Speaking of willies, we're gonna teach you about some willy interesting things here in the
Boo. No.
I actually like it.
Play a commercial. Back commercial.
We're about to get into a segment we call the Moreau You Know, where we teach you about some things that we've learned recently, some interesting stories, some facts, maybe some things you didn't know about that we recently learned.
Maybe some things that you already knew about that we
Maybe some
recently
things
learned.
you already knew.
If we told you this already, definitely let us know.
I've got one ready to go that I've been sitting on, but who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
You sounds like you want to go first. If this is about tricks,
no, I wanna take us all to a foreign land known as Australia. There was a man who got hit by a 18-wheeler and went into a coma for I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
That joke, that's the last time I used that joke. My real story, I want to tell you guys about maybe the weirdest trade that ever went down in baseball history. It involves two pitchers on the Yankees. Two pitchers that were on the Yankees at the same time when this trade took place. It happened in 1973. On March 4th is when it was announced. The two players involved in this were Mike Kekich and Fritz Peterson. Two different players. One was a longtime player for
brother of Smudge Peterson.
Brother of Smudge Peterson, Fritz Peterson. Fritz Peterson was a superstar for the Yankees. Okay, like he had been there for a couple of years, and was well known by the fans. They liked him there. Kekich had bounced around the league, but was traded to the Yankees, ended up on this team, and the two immediately hit it off, became good friends. They lived near each other in New Jersey. They both had two kids. One of them had two daughters. One of them had two sons, and the family started hanging out all the time, right? Sometime in the summer of 1973, while at a party, they decided, what if we just switched lives fully, not just wives? And so they decided in that moment to trade families. They moved into each other's houses, traded wives, and lived with the other person's children for a week. During that time period, they took it back in like December. But then Peterson said, I can't live without his wife. We have to switch back. So they switched back. And then in December, they came out publicly in a press conference because rumors started going around and announced that they had in fact switched lives, just did a full-on trade. You're now with my wife and my children. I'm now with your wife and your children. So they held a press conference, said it just happened. It wasn't planned. They said there are degrees of love involved. We tried something with a common understanding. It was completely a four-way thing.
What the heck?
Whenever the GM and the manager found out, people were like, what the hell are they going to do? Like they asked them not to trade Kekich because Peterson wanted to be able to see his daughters, right? He was like, I want to be able to see my daughters sometimes. Like we traded families. So like, don't trade them. And then the manager came out and said, this was in 1973. So in the 70s, like not that long ago.
Did they have kids?
Yes, two kids each, two daughters and two sons. They completely traded and they decided that the kids should stay with their mothers. And so these guys, these pitchers just moved into their friend's house without them and started having their wife and their children as their family. The manager of the team came out and said, they live their own lives and they've got a lot of years to live. If you're not happy, you only go through the world one time, and why go through it unhappy? Some people say you have to stay together for the sake of the kids. We've seen people living together and they're practically separated. So there was like public support and team support for this bizarre situation.
That seems like a very grounded statement.
Right? But it kind of goes back to your unpopular opinion yesterday, JL. Like,
that's amazing.
Divorce not being as big of a deal. But it did not end happily for everybody in this situation.
Oh, no. I mean, did the women have say in this?
Yeah.
Were they
Fritz,
also
they
like,
felt,
yeah,
it was a four-way decision. And Fritz Peterson and Kekich's former wife are still together to this day. They have stayed together and they are still together. Kekic and Peterson's former wife broke up shortly after the public announcement in December. He was then traded away. They both left baseball shortly after. And Kekic has been pretty public about being unhappy about it. The final part of this story is in 2011, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck signed on to do a movie about this called The Trade. And Peterson, living with his former best friend's wife and family and kids, was all about helping them out. But Kekic threatened to sue and was being uncooperative in the interviews and things like that. And so the movie has still not been made to this day.
Honestly,
but
dude,
I read this and from beginning to end, I was just like, excuse me? Like, you could have just ended with they traded wives, it didn't work out, and that would have been a crazy enough story.
Dude,
that's insane.
Kekic kind of got smoked in this trade.
Yeah, Kekic got he probably looks back at that and I'm like,
he should have got.
Kekic was me when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I traded the older kid from down the street, my holographic Charizard, for like nothing. Yeah. And then I went to my mom and started crying after he left. And I was like,
you got it back.
My Charizard.
You got Kekic.
He should have got I got it back in that.
He should have got like a wife and an extra kid, like to even out. You know what I mean? Like,
at least a third round wife,
right, like, or a kid to be named later. Like the other couple has a kid.
But a kid to be named later. Like you get naming rights of the kid.
You get of the future kid, name rights of a future kid. You get
they
a wife
have to name it Mike Kekic.
One wife, a wife. Yeah, the other guy has to name his kid. A wife. You get one wife, a bag of maple bats, and a kid to be named later. I think that would even out the trade a little bit, because the one for one wife move clearly didn't work.
You should have waited to the end, Simon. You should have gone last. That's such a good story. What the hell?
Insane, right? Also, Joey knew about it. Said Ben Affleck and Matt Damon own the film rights to this story. We were supposed to star in the film about 10 years ago, but it never came to light. So they own the film rights. I knew they were in it. Talked about that they were doing it, but didn't realize they had.
I just want to know.
Maybe we get it one day.
I want to see, I want more details into the first moments when this started. Like it went from a normal relationship to this weird relationship.
So it does give a little.
Sounds like Fritz is banging this dude's wife and was like,
"Hey,
it'd be cool. It'd be awesome if you were cool with this." It'd be awesome.
I don't like my wife, but I like your wife.
Think about Fritz's whole situation. He's like, typically you would have to abandon one family and then go and get this woman to abandon her family. He kind of cheated the whole system. He's like, why don't we just skip the whole part where I abandon my family and you just kind of slide into that mess?
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, exactly. Fritz is it sounds like this guy Fritz is like Houdini. That's really what happened here.
That being said, his wife, Fritz's original wife, Marilyn, came out and said, so they, like I mentioned, they swapped back at one point for a week. And this was before it was public. So before it was public, during their trial period, they swapped back. And Fritz and Marilyn both came out and said after the fact that after they swapped back, Marilyn was deeply in love with Mike and was unhappy back with Fritz. And Fritz was deeply in love with Suzanne, Mike's wife at the time, and wanted to be back with her. And so they called up. Can you imagine hopping on a phone call? It's the 70s, so she's got the other line in the kitchen, and they're like, so Mike, is Suzanne listening? Okay, we have an idea. You know how we did that thing for a while and we switched back? Well, I don't know. Mike and I were thinking, what if we swap back?
Yeah, swap back, dude.
Man, that's wild.
That's my story. 234. Welcome in, my friend.
What up, 2-3? Well, I'll go next. Mine is a little less, I think, juicy. I recently looked up and learned the history of the NFL Combine. Are you guys familiar with how the Combine came to be?
No idea.
The NFL Combine, before the 70s, the NFL basically didn't do any physical exams to potential players who were coming in. But in 1976, the Jets began inviting these college seniors to their facility for physicals and interviews, and other teams started to do the same thing. But the process took so long; it was very expensive, right? You had players missing classes to have to go through this. Plus, they're getting multiple X-rays at each of these teams' locations. And so, in 1982, the NFS, which was a big scouting organization, conducted its first national invitational camp in Tampa. They brought all of the top college players into one location to collect medical information. And then in 1985, a bunch of the other scouting organizations like Blesto and Quadra started conducting separate camps. Each of them would have different camps. They decided just to merge them all to essentially save money. The NFL then moved that combine to Indianapolis, where it's still held today because that's where the NFS headquarters is. And then, so basically by doing this, they were able to really centralize all this information, the medical history, the physical and like psychological tests, and allow the teams to really explore other assessments on top of that. But that's how the combine came to be originally. It's only been with us since the 80s, essentially, or 70s or 80s.
That's pretty awesome, man. And that's the thing is like in this industry, because there's so much money, they came together to do that. It'd be so cool if other industries were like had a combine too. Like you, all the weathermen that were like seniors in college, like about to graduate, you just get them together and you got
everybody coming.
You got all these green screens and you're just like, all right, hit the spot.
I choose that guy.
Yeah, I would have done so bad at the electrical engineer combine. I would have been Kyron Williams just dropping my stock
just
after that one.
Arc flashes left and right.
Looking much better on paper until you start making them do some electrical engineering.
Yeah, that would be wild, dude.
They did hold it in other cities originally, like Phoenix and New Orleans in 85 and 86, but then they moved it to Indianapolis.
It's a good central location.
Yeah.
So, but is it still connected to the NFS that's running it?
I believe so. I believe they coordinated all the events. I don't know if they still run that or not, or if that the NFL has taken that over.
Do the other, like, what I wonder here is do the other organizations, did they like fold whenever they combined together, or was it a sponsored by all of these, or we are all putting it together? Because you said there were multiple organizations involved, right?
They were scouting organizations. So they were doing their scouting already. This was like a new thing. Yeah.
Right. And I think it sounds like they were spending money. They weren't bringing money in, so they didn't care. They weren't like, oh, like we're going to lose money because we're not, it's like they were just like, okay, let's just get everyone together. We can all do our thing at once.
They sell the scouting information. That's where they make their money. This is a way for them to gather said information.
Gather it easier. You get access to more players and it's cheaper. Yeah.
Makes sense. Smart. And they didn't say, screw you guys. They said, let's work together. And it was probably better for everyone involved.
Yeah.
What's the saying? High waves make all ships go up.
Make all shaves go up. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
High waves make all shaves go up.
All shaves go up.
A better shave than the high waves, baby.
I like that one, Jay. I like whenever these things happen, just sometimes you look at the draft, the combine, or the NFL, and you wonder, like, this is pretty ingrained. Where did we come from? Know what I mean? Like, this
you don't think about that.
There was like there was probably a funny period where like this could not be on TV, where it was like 12 guys in a field with clipboards, just like watching someone run. And then they moved to Indy.
They moved to Indy. It all ends at Lucas Oil.
Do we have time for me to do one, or are we?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I got one. Here. This is something I actually learned in college. Now, when you guys think of the best marketing campaigns of all time, like what comes to mind? Just like
head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, Coca-Cola. Apply directly to the forehead.
Coca-Cola is a good one. I don't know what yours is, Simon.
Head on, apply directly to your forehead.
Coke is a good one, right? Yeah. Nike, just do it. That's the one that people bring up. Like got milk. Like that's the Budweiser's pretty good marketing campaigns and stuff. But there is one I learned about in college in my marketing class that to me is the most ingenious marketing move of all time. Mm-hmm. Right. And that is Alka-Seltzer. Are you guys familiar with what Alka-Seltzer? First of all, do you guys know what they are?
Yeah. It makes the bubblies.
The bubblies. Yes. So back in the day, Alka-Seltzer was sitting around and they were asking themselves, how do we make more money? Like any good company does, right? So they started doing studies on their product and actually found that not only can you take more than one, but it actually works a little better if you take two. So they all of a sudden said, hey, you know what? If we taught people to take two of these instead of one of these, now we'll sell twice as many. Because if somebody has an upset stomach, instead of taking one, now they'll take two. So what did they do? They went out, found some doctors that would corroborate that you not only can, but should take 2. And then they came up with a little jingle that Tommy says in the chat right there. They came up with a song, plop, plop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. And came up with all these commercials, all these radio commercials, all these TV commercials. And they started packaging the Alka-Seltzers 2 per pack. And they literally had the same exact product they had before and were selling nearly twice as many.
It's beautiful.
Genius.
My mind immediately went to, is Pop-Tarts doing the same thing?
Dude, big Pop-Tart.
Why the hell are 2 Pop-Tarts in a package? That doesn't make any sense to me.
For real though,
one Pop-Tart's not enough.
But no, it is legit. But you could always open 2. JR.
Disagree.
You could always just open a second one.
Yeah, I guess environmentally it works, but why aren't all the Pop-Tarts just in like one package?
One giant one, like
how Oreos come or Fig
like
Newtons or something like that. Yeah.
No,
they're not Pringles. I don't need Pringles.
They've tricked you into eating 2 Pop-Tarts, my dear boys.
They've gotten me. Coop, I like that one in Tommy Down. You're saying package design is crazy science. Yeah, you think about it just from like an ergonomic standpoint, but there's a psychology aspect to package design as well.
Yeah, packaging science was what I met so many packaging science at majors at Clemson. So many of my friends, they all cited the same exact fact of why they're in packaging science.
Why?
100% jug placement, which is probably true, but also I learned way more about packaging science than I thought I would, and it is actually pretty fascinating.
I almost went into packaging science. I was going to major in packaging science at Clemson. And then I told my grandfather, always supportive of decisions that weren't engineering. He said, "What? You're going to be a box engineer? You might as well make yourself a dunce cap while you're at it, idiot."
What are you going to be, a box doctor?
Oh, he hit you with like the 1930s insult. That would have devastated you like 80 years ago.
Oh, it would have gotten me.
Dunce cap, bro.
What, be some kind of box doctor?
Good luck.
Come work in the coal mines with me and your pops.
I so love the idea that in his mind, a full college program at Clemson. I know he was picturing just unfolding boxes and putting them together. Okay, let me this one.
Pizza guy. I am better than a pizza guy.
Coop, I thought you were about to tell me that Alka-Seltzer doesn't actually need to fizz, and I was going to throw a tantrum if those were the words that came out of your mouth.
Now you're giving away my next Moreau,
Like if the fizzing was just to sell more, like it made it more satisfying to have it fizzle.
After a long day down at the box factory being a box jockey, you need to come home and eat a bunch of Alka-Seltzers. That's the ad.
I feel like you missed one there with Box Jock.
Box Jocks.
We're
the Box Jocks, and this is Box Jock Talk in the morning.
It's actually very uncomfortable to say.
I do not like that. Every time you guys said Box Jock,
something about the X CK does not translate.
Box Jock.
Box Jock.
I think it's next to the J. X and J. They don't belong together.
It doesn't roll up.
What's a Sex Juice was another one I could think of that ends with X and starts with J. Guys, on that note, this is 2 days in a row. I feel like I've said the worst possible thing right as we're about to end the show. That is the new mantra here. Thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us bright and early this Tuesday morning. We're going to be back tomorrow and the next day, every day, Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. For more Front Yard Fantasy fun, head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that sub button and the notification bell because we are going to be live later today at 3 p.m. Eastern time for some poll perception. So come hang out with us then. Until 3 p.m. Eastern time. We are out of here. Joshua Cho will be on with us then. So come hang out. Adios, everyone.
Sex juice.